Chapter 1434. A top-tier Holy Demon King and 4 high-level Holy Demon Kings against 32 prodigies. They were the top 500 prodigies outside of the top 2,000 on the monster roll. Looking from the outside, inside the pitch-black holy devil-binding heavenly prison, the sky was shaking and the earth was trembling non-stop. We might not be able to leave this place alive if we continue fighting like this. We have to fight even if we don't want to. These bastards have sealed the space. If we want to break through, we need more than 10 people to attack together. These bastards won't give us the chance. Dozens of prodigies displayed their movement technique. Some attacked, some retreated, some defended, and some defended. They quickly communicated through voice transmissions, but they could not reach an agreement. The 5 Holy Demon Kings were fearless. They attacked with all their might, suppressing the prodigies until they were at a disadvantage. Just as the prodigies were about to counterattack before their deaths, bam, 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 the entire holy demon-binding heavenly prison suddenly shook violently. Rip! The 9-layer burning heaven's palm that blotted out the sun slammed down, and a section of the azure claw that held up the sky slammed into the holy devil-binding heavenly prison. There were even 5 streaks of crimson light that pierced through the heavens and earth, shooting over from the outside. They pierced through the heavens and earth, and actually sliced open the holy devil-binding heavenly prison. Everyone was shocked. The demons were shocked. Who was it? Who was so capable to break through the Holy Demon King's divine power in such a short time? Rumble! A holy dragon soared into the sky and soared through the firmament, causing all the monster incarnates to exclaim in shock. It's a dragon? No, there's someone above the dragon. This holy dragon, I remember now. It's Lin Chen. Dark shadow possession, Lin Chen's figure flickered and all of his doppelgangers were released. The holy dragon used instant light and shadow clone to cast the extreme prison heavenly prison, which instantly enveloped all the demons. Insignificant skill. Break. The blood-eyed demon king opened his blood-red eyes and looked around. The blood-red light shone and pierced through the extreme prison heavenly prison. Buzz. Gray-white talismans fell from the sky and exploded above the 5 holy demon kings' heads. The clones finished their hand seals, and the 8 spiritual burning dragons roared toward the sky. Roar. The terrifying mental sound wave shattered mountains and rivers, shaking the slow-moving Holy Demon King's mind. The expressions of all the monster incarnates changed, and they immediately made way. The other doppelganger was like a flash of lightning. With a flick of his hand, a faint peach blossom covered the entire sky and escaped without a trace. Blazing flames bloomed and filled the sky with lotus afterimages. Within the rapidly spinning afterimages of the lotus flowers, there was a terrifying sharpness and killing intent that swept past. It pierced through the bodies of 4 high-level holy demon kings, causing demonic blood to splatter everywhere. Finally, the sharp white light cut through the blood-eye demon king. Boom! The clone pulled the 9 firmament star fury bow and pulled the bowstring back. A purple star arrow wrapped in clouds shot out, shattering the heaven and earth. Poochie! Poochie! The arrows pierced through the bodies of the 5 holy demon kings. He was seriously injured on the spot. Lin Chen's sacred artifact and cultivation technique had received a brand new strengthening, and their power had skyrocketed, not to mention the fact that he was being delayed by the delaying rune. Clang, clang. Lin Chen's doppelganger raised his sword and slashed horizontally. A starlight that could divide heaven and earth flashed past like the final glow of a star that had died billions of years ago. The sword light was bone-chilling as it slashed through the bodies of all the holy demon kings. The 4 high-level holy demon kings eventually turned into a large number of elemental light balls and died. Hiss! All the monster incarnates present sucked in a cold breath. Dead? Apart from the top-level Holy Demon King, the other 4 high-level Holy Demon Kings that were comparable to the perfected star state were killed just like that? Boom! The moment the doppelganger killed all the Holy Demon Kings, Lin Chen stomped his feet and charged toward the top-level Holy Demon King alone. The last Blood-Eye Demon King let out a hysterical roar. It was furious and shocked. Its injuries couldn't heal by themselves and were even worsening. Aries set, right leg armor. Whoosh. With a flash of golden light, the Aries set attached to Lin Chen's right leg armor, and his pure strength instantly skyrocketed. It broke through 150 trillion, 200 trillion, 280 trillion dragon power. Human, you're courting death. Even if I have to drag you down with me, I want you to die here. As the Blood-Eye Demon King roared, its demonic aura surged, and its arm grabbed toward Lin Chen like a dragon. It could push through countless dimensions. Crawl! Lin Chen's figure spun in the air, and he kicked out with his leg. Golden divine light flashed. This attack was like the rotation of the sun, moon, and stars. This strike seemed to sink thousands upon thousands of planes. This attack was like the destruction of the world. With a flash of divine light, everything was destroyed. Boom! The mushroom cloud exploded, and the demonic aura shattered. Lin Chen, who was bathed in golden light, turned into a beam of light and pierced through the Blood-Eye Demon King, tearing its demonic body apart. Obtained 190,000 runes energy, 29 million top-grade essences, 100 strengthening points, 4,000 runes energy. The holy dragon coiled, the elemental light sphere was put away, the spirit plant seed was grabbed, and the providence plant pouch opened. Marshal Lin was forced to soar into the air. He stepped on the holy dragon and continued flying forward without looking back. All the monstrous prodigies, regardless of gender, had the same expression. It was as if they had seen a ghost. Instant kill. Damn it, this kid wasn't even serious during the stairway competition. Just how strong is he? A top-tier sacred demon king was crushed with a single kick. 4 high-level sacred demon kings were killed instantly. His first move was an instant kill. It was time to pack up. The entire process was as smooth as flowing water, without the slightest bit of sloppiness, without the slightest pause or hesitation. It was as if what he had killed was not a demon king, but an insignificant chicken. The monstrous prodigies almost went crazy. They were dumbfounded. Damn it. He's so ridiculously strong. He's on a completely different level compared to Shangguan Si's performance in the battle. It's too scary. With his battle prowess, he could have killed Shangguan Si in an instant if he wanted to. This handsome guy has turned into light. From that day onwards, the 9 races battlefield and the human race's battlefield were turned upside down. Crazy. Crazy killing. Lin Chen went from east to north. Wherever he went, demons were slaughtered like chickens. Lin Chen kept absorbing golden saint origin coins to replenish his sacred power. Every time he encountered an enemy, he would use one move. It seemed like he only used one move, but in reality, Lin Chen had used all his trump cards, such as Instant Light, Split Shadows, Annihilation, and Split Creation. All the high-level sacred demon kings could not even survive one move from him. As for the top-tier sacred demon kings, don't ask. If you did, you would be slapped with a slow rune and killed with a single Aries set. This was Lin Chen's full power. He pursued the fastest and most extreme way to kill his enemies. Even if he lost his heaven-defying talent, as long as he could find an opening, he could still kill a low-level top-tier sacred demon king in one move. Lin Chen's 4-piece Aries set had more than 25% of its charge. Together with Lin Chen's heaven-defying acupoint expansion, the power of each piece was even higher than the previous 3 pieces. Even someone as strong as a peak-level Holy Demon King couldn't stop Lin Chen. The entire human race's battlefield was turned upside down by Lin Chen. Chapter 1435. A month after the opening of the battlefield of the 9 races, a dark red planet floated in the void, surrounded by floating continental plates. Demonic chi was everywhere and corpses were everywhere. Be it the corpses of the dragon race, the human race, the insect race, or even the Ashura race, they were all buried here. This was the demonic battlefield of the 9 races. After the unprecedented war in the battlefield of the 9 races, the plane had been facing collapse. It was the last surviving demonic race that maintained the entire plane. Otherwise, the battlefield of the 9 races would have continued to split. No one could tell who won the war in the past, but only the demonic race survived. Because of this, the demonic race was not restricted by the battlefield of the 9 races and could move freely. They could even bring some of their people to the battlefield of the 9 races. The demonic race was not kind. Their goal of maintaining the battlefield of the 9 races was very likely that they were still coveting the secret of the past. On an ancient altar in the battlefield of the demonic race. Here, 10 figures stood proudly. Recently, the battlefield of the 9 races has opened again. Should we take action? The human race is getting stronger day by day. Should we go and destroy them? The enchanting woman stretched lazily and covered her mouth as she chuckled. Her figure was exquisite and her clothes were thin. Her green dress was engraved with floral patterns, and her slender legs were like 2 white snakes. Whoosh! Behind the beautiful woman, a sharp scorpion tail suddenly swayed. It was translucent and sparkling. A man with eyes like an eagle sneered. What's the point of killing some people on the demon race ranking? It's more important to kill someone on the talent saint ranking. These people are the flesh of the human race, and they are the main figures that threaten our race. Another gray-robed old man shook his head and laughed. Those on the talent saint ranking will not leave the sacred boundary easily. They are well protected by those old dogs of the human race. 2 pitch-black dragon eyes were spinning in his palm. It was as if the light released by the dragon eyes could make the world lose its color. Every single one of the 10 figures sitting cross-legged here was a bona fide primordial giant demon. They had existed since the beginning of the human race's sacred boundary, and they were the top figures of the demonic race in the primordial age. They were the primordial giant demons who had swallowed countless Star Realm and Sacred Heart Realm saints. Even their forms were vastly different from those of ordinary demons. Miraculously, there was a cyclone above the heads of these 10 primordial giant demons, which connected to the sky. A pitch-black circle was spinning in the sky. It was deep and boundless. Even light couldn't escape from that black circle. Time seemed to be eternally sealed within that black circle. The reason why the 10 primordial giant demons were standing there seemed to be to stabilize the black circle. A handsome young man who looked like a pile of snow and jade said with a smile. Speaking of which, didn't Haotian of the human clan tell us to pay attention to 2 humans? The gray-robed elder curled his lips and said, This guy used to be a saint king, so he must be quite knowledgeable. Could it be that someone we pay attention to is not on the saint talent ranking? No, I heard that there's someone called Lin Xingchen. One of them is called Lin Chen. Why are their names so similar? Could they be brothers? That's not it. Anyway, Haotian wants us to eliminate the 2 of them if we encounter them. Otherwise, they will threaten the great plan of the demon race. Just as the 10 primordial giant demons were talking, a voice came from outside. 4 top-level Saint Demon Kings entered the altar and bowed respectfully. My lords, there seems to be an accident, and it's a little serious. The 10 primordial giant demons narrowed their eyes. The entire space shook as the enchanting woman in a jade-green dress chuckled. Tell me, what's the situation? A top-level Saint Demon King reported respectfully. Our clansmen have been dying rapidly since the 3rd day after the 9-race battlefield opened. 4 top-level Saint Demon Kings die almost every day. 8 top-level Saint Demon Kings have died so far. Impossible. Almost all the primordial giant demons said in unison. It's still reasonable for the top-level Saint Demon Kings to die. Which top-level Saint Demon King can't fight with a human's Sacred Heart Realm Saint Demon King? Their vitality doesn't lose to the humans at all. How can they die? Could it be that the humans and dragons have joined forces this time? Impossible. They're already in a mess internally. Just the greedy humans alone won't join forces, let alone the two races. Or could it be that the Azure race has appeared? The 10 primordial giant demons had serious expressions. It took several epochs for the demons to produce a top-level Saint Demon King. Every top-level Saint Demon King was a top-level power of the demons and led a region. There was no need to even mention top-level Saint Demon Kings. The death of one top-level Saint Demon King was a huge blow to the demons. 8 top-level Saint Demon Kings had died in a month. This speed was extremely strange. Logically speaking, even if a top-level Saint Demon King was surrounded and couldn't win, no one should be able to stop him if he wanted to leave. No, my lords. The majority of the dead Saint Demon Kings are in the human battlefield. The top-level Saint Demon Kings have all died in the human battlefield. The reporting demon instantly attracted the attention of the 10 primordial giant demons. Things might be out of our expectations. Immediately issue an order to the demons still in the territory of the demon race and the dragon race. Peak Saint Demon Kings, all of you should form groups and move out. It's best if you investigate the situation clearly. If necessary, all of you should move out as well. Do not allow the humans to have any chance of turning the situation around. Yes. The altar returned to its usual silence. However, every primordial giant demon's expression was extremely gloomy. A saint dragon floated above a barren silver land. Big Brother Lin Chen, can you be a human? I'm dying of exhaustion. Feng Shuer mumbled. Lin Chen sat cross-legged on the Saint Dragon's head and chuckled. You're the ones who wanted to form a team. If even I can't keep up, then don't form a team. Isn't it better to be a bystander? What a monster! No wonder he has the guts to challenge the Saint Talent ranking. In time, he might really be qualified to reach that level. Shangguan Chen wiped his sweat and looked at Lin Chen with eyes full of respect. He was even glad that he had chosen to form a team with Lin Chen. In the past, the monsters on the Monster Talent ranking had to be careful when entering the battlefield of the 9 clans. However, this time there was Lin Chen. In the past month, Lin Chen had swept through the battlefield of the 9 clans. If gods blocked him, he would kill gods. If demons blocked him, he would kill demons. However, at the same time, Shangguan Chen, Feng Shuer, and Yu Xian had also completed their goal of entering the battlefield of the 9 clans. Their ancestors had participated in the War of the 9 clans and died here. They originally thought that it would be extremely difficult to find their ancestors' tomb. After all, there were many demons in the battlefield of the 9 clans. However, they did not expect that this difficult task would be completed just by following Lin Chen. What was even more frightening was that they had finally witnessed Lin Chen's true heaven-defying strength. He had killed a top-level Saint Demon King in an instant. With such monstrous strength, let alone Zhao Mingyue and Shangguan Ci, it even made Shangguan Chen feel that even if all the monsters in the battlefield of the 9 clans attacked together, they might not be able to defeat Lin Chen. Chapter 1436. What made Shangguan Chen even more impressed was Lin Chen's speed of growth. It could be described with one word: incredible. Before Lin Chen entered the 9-race battlefield, his body refinement realm was only around 2 trillion dragon power. Now it was close to 30 trillion. The extent of this jump was as ridiculous as his acupoint expansion. Prince Lin Chen, what are your plans next? Yu Xian asked curiously. Lin Chen smiled. Of course, I'm going to the dragon battlefield. As soon as he said this, Yu Xian and Shangguan Chen's hearts skipped a beat. This Prince Lin Chen was really fearless. Did he not know, or was he pretending not to know? After the 9-race battlefield opened, the other races would not cross the border. Once they did, they would be attacked by the other races. If the human race went to the other races' battlefield, it meant that they might be besieged by the other races. Lin Chen's action was equivalent to challenging all the dragon race's prodigies who entered the nine-race battlefield. No matter what the conflicts between the dragon race's forces were, once they discovered that the human race had appeared in their territory, they would target the human race first. Prince Lin Chen, are you really going to? Before Xin could finish her question, the sacred dragon soared into the sky. Lin Chen laughed. Wealth comes from danger, right? Life and death are nothing. If you're not convinced, just do it. If they continued to stay in the human race's battlefield, there might be treasures. However, most of the supreme-grade treasures would have been taken by Lin Chen. It would not be efficient to stay here. Moreover, Lin Chen had to go to the dragon race's battlefield. His divine dragon blood jade recorded information about the divine dragon's relic and bloodline. He had to go to the dragon race's battlefield. The three of them looked at each other and could only grit their teeth and follow. Lin Chen did not stop the three of them. The combat power of the three of them combined was comparable to the combat power of one of his clones. Shangguan Chen, in particular, seemed low-key, but he was not inferior to Shangguan Ci, or even stronger. On the way to the Dragon Clan battlefield, Lin Chen carefully calculated his spoils of war during this period. Harvested 8 middle-grade spirit plant seeds, as well as a middle-grade wanderer fruit seed, 3 middle-grade odd crystals, and tens of thousands of types of 6th-grade sacred rank heaven and earth treasures. There are also quite a few 7th-grade and 8th-grade treasures. Lin Chen sighed in his heart. If this was the outside world, he wouldn't be able to buy so many good things even if he sold his entire fortune. This is all thanks to me and Little Shadow. How are you going to thank me? Lin Ping and stood beside Lin Chen and proudly put his hands on his waist, puffing out his flat chest. Lin Chen rubbed her little head and said with a smile, Yes. It's all thanks to you. I'll give you a big reward when we get out. As the calamity of pain, Lin Pingon could freely sense the birth and dissipation of the fortune of heaven and earth. To a large extent, he could accurately sense the birth and gathering of heaven and earth treasures. Lin Chen had little shadow to discover the concealment of these treasures. As for the birth of these treasures, Lin Pingon could sense them. That's right, Lin Chen could be said to have the two major effects of navigation and seeing through camouflage. Coupled with his full strength, the three-pronged approach was simply unstoppable. Otherwise, how could Lin Chen have plundered more than half of the fortuitous encounters in the vast Nine Clans battlefield within a month? Rip! A high-level holy demon king suddenly flashed across the void in the distance. When he sensed the aura of Lin Chen and the others, he was stunned at first. Human race. This was the Dragon Clan's territory. How dare a human barge in here? Lin Chen raised his brows. Demon race. Then, Lin Chen twisted his 5 fingers and slammed his palm forward. The 9-layer burning sky palm struck the demon king at lightning speed. Boom. Bang. All of the high-level holy demon king's defenses were shattered by Lin Chen's palm. Its main body was severely injured on the spot, and its eyes were filled with shock. How is this kid so strong? Suddenly, Little Shadow revealed his true form and sent a voice transmission to Lin Chen. Oh? Little guy, do you mean that demons are starting to gather? Lin Chen was stunned for a moment before grabbing the high-level holy demon king with one hand. He tore through the air and pinched the high-level holy demon king in his palm. This holy demon king was at most an early-stage star-state cultivator of the human race, and it was the lowest level. With Lin Chen's current strength, he could completely suppress it. Speak. What do you want to do by gathering here? If you don't speak, die. Lin Chen said indifferently. The holy demon king was stunned. How did you know that our people are gathering? Nonsense. You're handsome. What don't you know? Lin Chen tightened his grip on the holy demon king's heart, which was its lifeline, even more tightly. In this month, he had obtained top-tier blood chi from killing high-level and top-tier holy demon kings. The pure strength of Lin Chen's shell had reached 7 trillion dragon power points. Thanks to the shell's awakening ability, it had already broken through 28 trillion dragon power points. Just by relying on pure strength, Lin Chen could suppress some saints who had just entered the star state. I'll speak. The higher-ups have ordered us to gather and use the superior-grade spiritual plant seeds to attack the dragon race first. Then, we'll head to the human race and eliminate the unknown factor among the humans. It's said that a human who can kill a top-tier holy demon king has appeared among the humans. That's why we're gathering and taking action. Lin Chen was enlightened after hearing this. It seemed that he had killed too fiercely and attracted the attention of the demons. How many demons do you have in the 9-race battlefield? Speak clearly, or I'll kill you all the same. With Lin Chen's threat, the Holy Demon King did not dare to delay. No. I don't know the exact number. I only know that there are 10 strongest venerables guarding this place. It's said that the strength of the venerables is comparable to the majority of the human race's heaven-opening realm cultivators. There are also a dozen other venerables who are comparable to your human race's heaven-opening realm cultivators. As for the rest, I don't know. If he did not ask, he would not know. Now that he asked, he was shocked. Yu Xen and Shangguan Chen's expressions changed. The demons actually had so many top-tier experts here? And this did not include the other top-tier holy demon kings? Lin Chen was excited. Interesting. Looks like I'll have to go to the demon battlefield if I have the chance. The three of them frowned. Are you kidding me, boss? Are you crazy too? It's dangerous enough to come to the dragon battlefield, and you want to go to the demon battlefield? Chi. Lin Chen crushed the high-level holy demon king, but he found that its body quickly shriveled and turned into a substitute without anyone noticing. As expected of a demon that's old and cunning, Lin Chen shook his head and laughed. This holy demon king actually made it escape without anyone noticing. Even if Lin Chen could suppress it, it was still very difficult to kill it as a life form with a lifespan of several epochs, unless it was a sneak attack like before. We don't have time to chase this guy. It can escape like a cicada, so it probably won't be a threat to us after giving up most of its cultivation. Lin Chen and Lin Ping looked in the same direction at almost the same time. Lin Chen's lips curled up. A high-grade spirit plant seed, this is a peerless treasure. These demons want to trick the dragon race, so this handsome guy will do the opposite. Ping En, let's go. Chapter 1437. In the Dragon Clan's battlefield, in the Hurricane of Destruction area. This was the area where a peak holy dragon had died in a bloody battle. Dragon blood had spilled all over this place, and the energy had mutated, causing hurricanes to wreak havoc like tide. Moreover, the area where the Hurricane of Destruction was generated was completely random. It was a fatal threat to even those in the Star Realm. Dragon Clan experts did not dare to approach it at all. If they wanted to pass through the Hurricane of Destruction area, they would have to take a detour. But today, nearly 200 primordial Dragon Clan geniuses had gathered outside the Hurricane of Destruction area. They were all the strongest Dragon Clan geniuses below the primordial Dragon Clan. The weakest among them had an 8th-grade bloodline. There were also many legendary 9th-grade bloodlines. They were either the young masters of the primordial Dragon Clan, rare geniuses in the clan, or peerless geniuses who had broken the history of the primordial Dragon Clan. Today, they were gathered here because a large number of rare treasures had appeared in the Hurricane of Destruction area. There were even superior-grade spiritual plant seeds. They could only be found by chance. The hurricane vortex is about to dissipate temporarily. Get ready to attack. Whoever gets it will own it. Hit them hard later. Don't hold back. The Dragon Clan was ready to move. The beautiful woman in a beautiful blue dress shook her head. Why must we fight against each other? In such a dangerous environment, if we are schemed against by the Demon Clan, we will definitely be in danger. The beautiful woman's long blue dress was like a blue sea. Her temperament was like the clouds, and her appearance was beautiful. She did not need any rouge or makeup, and her appearance was already otherworldly. Her blue dragon horns, which were as translucent as coral, made her as beautiful as a fairy. Miss, these people won't understand. They are a bunch of red-eyed lunatics. The girl beside the beautiful woman shook her head helplessly. Our dragon clan is about to decline. It's a pity that these people are still acting like they are the best in the world. The beautiful woman was disappointed. She sighed with mixed feelings and helplessness. It's really a tragedy for the dragon clan. The humans have already given birth to God. Our clan is elusive. The humans already have the saint talent ranking. Our clan is only left with the primordial dragon clan to fight against it. Our clan's speed of producing young blood is no longer as fast as the humans. Now we are the most important force, but we still have to fight against our own clan. The young girl said respectfully, Miss, with your birth, the dragon clan will definitely be revitalized. The beautiful person with the blue jade dragon horn had a deep look in her eyes. What's the use of me alone? The turning point of every race's history has never changed because of the existence of an individual. If we don't revive the morale of the dragon race, it will be difficult to raise the prestige of the dragon race. Right at this moment, the signs of the destructive hurricane gradually came to a stop. Strange treasures appeared in the center of the hurricane. Multicolored light drifted in the air like clouds. Some were like light pillars that shot into the sky, while others were surrounded by holy light. It was an extraordinary scene, as if a holy sovereign had personally arrived. Rumble! Many dragons swarmed forward. The grayish-white hurricane had yet to dissipate when the paragons of the dragon race barged in with their powerful dragon bodies. In the middle of it was a beam of light that reached the heavens and the earth. In the middle of it was the superior-grade spiritual plant of Providence seed. Azure ripping dragon claw. Breath of 10,000 souls. Calamity dragon spear. Many perfect and transcendent bloodline divine abilities exploded one after another, and an endless battle erupted from all directions. Before they even got close to the central area, nearly 200 dragon paragons were already engaged in a fierce battle. The void within a 1,000,000-kilometer radius was blown into a mess. Sigh, it seems that there's only one way to stop them. I'll seize the supreme treasure inside and divert their attention to me. The beautiful woman with the blue jade dragon horn flew into the air. Huge waves that were tens of thousands of feet high rose under her feet. Wherever she passed, the huge waves would destroy the sky and surge toward her. The dragon breath in the huge waves overturned all the dragon paragons along the way, shattering their bloodline divine abilities and forcing them to retreat. The two sides were not on the same level at all. Even the maidservant beside her waved her sleeves and repelled several dragon paragons. She was very powerful and stood out on the battlefield. Damn it, Luo Shuiwe still made a move. How can this woman be so strong? Rumor has it that this woman has already reached the peak of the 9th grade bloodline. She has a little divine dragon bloodline from her ancestor, the extreme hell water divine dragon. It's true. Back off, don't fight her head-on. Even the unruly monstrous geniuses of the various dragon clans trembled in fear when they saw this woman attacking. The two women rode the wind and waves and were the first to enter the central area. At this moment, the 200 dragon paragons had already entered the area of the destructive hurricane. The woman named Luo Shuiwe waved her hand and sucked the dazzling spiritual plant light cocoon over. Finally, it floated in her delicate, snow-white palm. The light cocoon's flowing light disappeared, and the spiritual plant seed revealed its original form. It was actually a jade slip. It's fake? The maidservant beside her was shocked. Luo Shuiwe frowned slightly. No, it's not fake. It's been stolen for a short period of time. Who has such strength? Luo Shuiwe opened the jade slip. There was only a name and a sentence written on it. I'll take this superior grade spiritual plant seed first. It's from an unknown handsome guy. Canward Gil Ing Bang Bang. Luo Shuiue's maidservant was confused. An unknown handsome guy? Canward Gil Ing Bang Bang? Could it be? Just as she was thinking of a certain dragon prodigy who had dominated the competition, her pretty face changed slightly. Boom. The destructive hurricane area suddenly shook violently. It's said that the dragon race is arrogant. It's true. The dragon race's meat is so much more delicious than the human race's. Aya, where should I start eating later? Monstrous pitch-black demonic aura gushed out like ink, covering the sky and earth and sweeping across the wilderness. It made one feel as if they had fallen into an ice cellar, and the coldness was bone-piercing. It's the demon race. What's going on? The prodigies of the dragon clan immediately stopped and waited for the attack. In the void within a radius of 1,000,000 miles, hundreds of devil clan silhouettes that were as vast as an abyss continued to appear. There were 100 high-level Saint Demon Kings and 20 top-level Saint Demon Kings. The 3 Demon Kings leading the team had powerful auras. Even among the top-level Saint Demon Kings, they could be counted on one hand. They were almost comparable to a peak Saint Heart. This lineup made the hearts of all the dragon paragons tremble. Moreover, the destructive hurricane was wreaking havoc within a 1,000,000-kilometer radius, almost forming a natural encirclement. It was extremely difficult to force their way out. They had fallen into a trap. One of the 3 Demon Kings, the 10,000 feet Demon King, who had a centipede mark on his face, smiled coldly. The dragon race must be heartbroken to lose a batch of prodigies like you. Buzz. Flames burned the sky. A dragon paragon with a powerful aura stood out and curled his lips in disdain. Cowards who hide their heads and tails. Do you really think the dragon race is afraid of you demons? You're the ones who will die today. Boom. The many paragons of the dragon race responded with a single call and got into formation. An earth-shattering battle was about to erupt. However, what no one noticed was that some of the rare treasures that were scattered in the area of the destructive hurricane silently disappeared as a dark shadow flitted past. Chapter 1438. Hee. The young dragon race members don't know the immensity of heaven and earth. Let's end this quickly. Another holy devil king gave the order, and all the holy devil kings charged at the dragon race's prodigies. Boom, boom, boom. The battle here was like the main battlefield of the devil race. The moment they started fighting, they were evenly matched with the dragon race's prodigies. Even though their numbers weren't enough to overwhelm the dragon race, these high-level holy devil kings were all carefully selected by the devil race. The weakest of them was comparable to a late-stage soul star realm cultivator. If they were placed in the outside world, they would be overlords wherever they went. Is that really the case? Luo Shuiue sighed deeply. She seemed to have expected this. She led her maidservants and joined the chaotic battle in a flash. Mountains and rivers crumbled, and space shook violently. The chaotic battle between the dragon race and the devil race had resulted in a situation where they were evenly matched. However, this was only a temporary illusion. First of all, the 3 holy devil kings had yet to join the battle. The true victor would be determined by the battle between the top holy devil kings. The dragon race's prodigies might be able to hold back the top holy devil kings for a short period of time, but that didn't mean that they could defeat the top holy devil kings. Once the 3 holy devil kings joined the battle, the top holy devil kings would become peerless monsters that could reap the lives of the various monstrous geniuses. The space in the battlefield was extremely stable. The dragon race and the devil race battled within 1,000,000 miles, and there wasn't much destruction. After all, this was a plane that had once contained the experts of the 9 races. It wasn't something that a group of 6th Heaven True Saint Realm prodigies could destroy. Bang. One of the dragon race's prodigies was injured first. His dragon arm was broken, and he was suppressed by the top holy devil king. Following that, the second, third, and so on came one after another. The dragon race's prodigies were beginning to be suppressed. Is there no other way? I can only undo the seal. Luo Shueiyue was concerned about the overall situation. When she saw this scene, her hair fluttered even though there was no wind. The majestic aura of the extreme hell water divine dragon appeared and disappeared around her. When it floated up, she actually pushed a top holy devil king back with a backhand. This woman? The three holy devil kings' gazes instantly locked onto Luo Shueiyue. Forget it, let's do it. If this continues, we'll lose quite a bit of strength. The three demon kings planned to take action. They no longer guarded against the escape routes of these dragons. They planned to kill as many as they could. TSK. Boom. At this time, after the last rare treasure in the area of the destructive hurricane disappeared, the space trembled. Pa, pa, pa. Crisp applause reverberated throughout the entire arena. Alright, that's all for now. I'll get the most handsome man to burn it for you later. Next, please line up in an orderly manner. Dragons stand on the left, demons on the right. Those who are more handsome than me, please stand in the middle. The experts of the two clans were shocked. They couldn't sense the aura of the owner of this voice at all. In the void, the shadow dispersed and the young man sat cross-legged on top of the dragon's head. He wore a pair of self-made sunglasses and a snow-white robe. The back of his robe was embroidered with the words, 666, Single Plain Province Top 10 Handsome. Human race? Am I seeing things? A human dares to enter our battlefield? Where did this kid come from? We've scanned this area several times. How could he sneak in without us knowing? The experts of the two clans were dumbfounded. Their expressions were very interesting. Luo Shuiyue's eyes narrowed. Could this person be the unknown handsome guy who left behind the space jade slip? Did the sun rise from the west? This was the dragon race's battlefield. How did a human sneak in? One had to know that there were many prodigies among the dragon race who were good at sensing. It was the same for the demons. Even most Sacred Heart experts couldn't fool their eyes and ears. It was a pity that Ultimate Shadow had the bloodlines of both the demons and the dragon race. He knew the principle of sensing and avoided them perfectly. Are you all frightened by my handsomeness? I'll repeat myself. This handsome guy is here to rob. Dragons stand on the left, demons on the right. Those who are more handsome than me, please stand in the middle. Handsome Lin smiled mockingly, pushed his sunglasses up, and looked at the three demon kings. The experts almost thought that they had stuffed their ears with wax. Robbery? A human sneaked into the dragon race's battlefield and robbed nearly 200 dragon race prodigies and more than 100 sacred demon kings? Uxian Shangguanchen, and Feng Shuer, who were hiding at the side, were shocked. Boss, there should be a limit to how daring you can be. Didn't you say that you would just steal casually and slip away after stealing? Now you want to rob them? Oh my god, did you not see the lineup here? Even a peak Sacred Heart expert couldn't escape unscathed. Hey, that sacred dragon is this generation's king of dragons. Luo Shuiyue's maidservant's eyes lit up. Interesting, very interesting. With just a human like you? A sacred demon king laughed in anger. He grabbed at Lin Chen, and sand and stones within 1,000 miles flew, turning into a skeleton made of demonic aura that enveloped Lin Chen. Roar! 8 spiritual burning dragons roared into the sky, and the sound waves were like tides, shattering the demonic aura skeleton. Whoosh! 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 More than a dozen dragon race prodigies surrounded Lin Chen instead, glaring at him with murderous intent. In their opinion, a human entering the dragon race's battlefield was a humiliation to the dragon race. If this went on, it would turn into the dragon and demon races besieging Lin Chen. Human, I'm really curious where you get your confidence from. Just because you're handsome? The 3 sacred demon kings each took a side and looked at Lin Chen playfully as if they were admiring a toy. "Well, it seems like all of you are in need of a hammer." Lin Chen smiled. "Then there's no other way. It's your turn." With a snap, Lin Chen snapped his fingers. A little girl with 2 ponytails appeared on the stage and stood in front of Lin Chen. She crossed her arms in front of her chest, and her cheeks were rosy. She wore the same type of sunglasses as Lin Chen, looking majestic. "If you guys don't surrender, you'll have to be carried away." She spoke slowly, and her childish voice revealed a pretentious arrogance. It was very cute. Ha 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 ha. The 3 sacred demon kings laughed. That's it? What could this little girl do? She didn't even look like a sage. Luo Shuyue's pupils trembled. The small amount of divine dragon bloodline in her body was warning her not to get close to this little girl. Before the dragon race prodigies could react, Luo Shuyue's slender hands grabbed continuously. Azure dragon claws formed and pulled all the dragon race prodigies near Lin Chen over. "You can let go now, my little god of war," Lin Chen said with a smile. "Okay, they're going to suffer." Lin Ping An's fingertips touched the center of her snow-white forehead. Boom! A terrifying aura of disaster soared into the sky, and an overwhelming wave of death covered the sky and surged over. At this moment, whether it was the dragon race or the demon race, all living beings instinctively felt fear. The 3 sacred demon kings seemed to have thought of something, and their faces changed. Calamity of Pain. Chapter 1439. Calamity of Pain? Are you King kidding me? What kind of joke is this? Does such a thing really exist in this world? Didn't it disappear a long time ago? The 3 demon kings felt their scalps tingle. Never would they have thought. The calamity of pain should have disappeared in the long river of history. It had been many eras since it last appeared. If not for the fact that these 3 demon kings were famous experts in the demon race and had been born a long time ago, no one in the demon race would have been able to recognize the calamity of pain's true identity. "Everyone, disperse. All of you, run outside for this prince." The 3 demon kings roared. From their voices, one could even hear the taste of fear. "Run? Run your grandpa. Run. Do you think you're here for supper? You want to wipe your mouth and run away after drinking some wine?" Lin Chen's 6 clones appeared at the same time, appearing in all directions and pushing with both hands. Dozens of grayish-white talismans fell from the sky and exploded. All the space within a radius of 1,000,000 kilometers seemed to have fallen into a frozen and sluggish state. Even when the Saint Demon King circulated his devil chi, it was nearly 100 times slower than usual, causing them to feel a kind of fear in their hearts. Hiss! The dragons who felt the change in the void all gasped. What kind of strange cultivation technique was this? They had never seen or heard of such a thing before. Did the human race have such an ability? Host consumed 110,000 points of top-grade talisman energy to activate the slowdown talisman. This slowdown talisman was more than 10 times stronger than the one Lin Chen had used on the 16th level of the Holy Jail. Firstly, it was because of the difference in the dimension. This dimension was more stable than the Holy Jail. Secondly, it was to suppress the 3 demon kings. Although Lin Chen's slowdown talisman was strong, it was not enough to seal Pan Yunlong and the other super strong Hell Masters. Therefore, he had to use an even stronger slowdown talisman this time. The moment the slowdown talisman was activated, Lin Ping An waved his sleeves. Dozens of calamity poison dragons appeared and crashed into the demon kings' bodies. A large number of demon kings spat out blood. Some even spat out some black fragments. The organs in their bodies were all shattered. Chi! Boom! 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 Dozens of high-level holy demon kings exploded on the spot, unable to resist at all. More than 10 top-level holy demon kings were forced back. Their bodies were corroded and melted away, and they screamed in agony. Compared to when Lin Pingon was still in the holy purgatory, He could now perfectly control the power of calamity. Previously, she had not been able to perfectly control her own strength, but she was already able to slaughter star warriors like slaughtering pigs and dogs, and easily injure Sacred Heart warriors. Now, Lin Chun had used the Buddha Saint technique to perfectly control the power of disaster for her. Ordinary Saint Heart realm cultivators didn't have much power to resist in front of her. Furthermore, there was no end to her growth. She was the source of all disasters in the world. Following that, the first top-level Holy Demon King fell. I got it. Lin Chun chuckled and waved his hand. His 6 clones immediately carried a black coffin and carried the dead Devil King away. Lin Chun played the eru with the back of his hand. He sang a little tune and hummed a little song. I'll send you to reincarnate and become even more handsome. You'll be black and white without a sound. A professional team came uninvited to carry the coffin from too far away. All the dragons were dumbfounded. They would never forget this scene. This young man wearing sunglasses and white gloves carried away all the holy demon kings one by one while singing a tune. In ancient times, there were 9 dragons pulling coffins. Today there were 6 black coffins. Lin Chun, his clones, and Yu Xian had all been injected with the aura of disaster relief by Lin Pingon. The aura of the calamity of pain didn't harm them at all. However, Lin Pingon's actions were not without a price. In her Providence plant pouch, one of the 12 pseudo-mid-grade Providence spirit plants began to sink into a deep black color. Every time she attacked, she had to pay the price of harming the Providence spirit plant that condensed misfortune. F***CK, calamity of pain, I'll fight it out with you. The 3 holy demon kings were forced back by the calamity poison tide. One of them, a top-level holy demon king with green eyes, went crazy. Demonic chi surged wildly and broke through the restraints of the slow rune. Then, instead of retreating, it charged toward Lin Pingon. Like a black dragon, it shot towards Lin Pingon. You're dead. Lin Pingon smiled slightly. Her slender fingers pointed, and grayish-brown needles shot out continuously. Rip, 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 bang, bang, bang. That crazy holy demon king was instantly injured. The demonic chi it had gathered disintegrated on the spot. The dragon race monsters were once again shocked by Lin Pingon's battle prowess. It was too terrifying. This was a holy demon king that could rival a peak Sacred Heart. Even among the top-level holy demon kings, it was considered above average. It was second only to the giant demons that could rival a heaven-opening realm cultivator. With just this, you still haven't, eh? A figure suddenly appeared above the holy demon king's head. It was Lin Chun. 9-colored starlight revolved in his palm as he slapped toward the holy demon king's face. This distance was so close that it made one's scalp tingle. Chi. Boom. 5 9-colored pillars of light pierced through the sky and spun up, causing the weather to change. There's actually such a fighting method. Who is this human? He's simply playing with his life. The various dragon race monsters were troubled by Lin Chen's ruthlessness. With both sides unleashing such a powerful killing move at such a close distance, it was true that the Holy Demon King couldn't escape, but it couldn't escape either. When the 5 9-colored pillars of light dissipated, a slightly wretched figure appeared in the sky. With just this bit of strength, you want to perish together with me? You overestimate yourself. As the green-eyed Holy Demon King sneered, Yu Xian and the others turned pale. Lin Chen was dead? No, he wasn't. To be precise, that figure just now was his clone. Only then did the green-eyed Holy Demon King realize that its abdomen had been slightly injured. However, the strange thing was that this injury was getting bigger, and in this poisonous environment, an injury that couldn't be healed was a fatal weakness. Lin Chun had sacrificed a clone to use the 9 Tribulations star to create a wound on the Holy Demon King. Lin Pingon moved gracefully and punched the Holy Demon Kings repeatedly, beating up all the top-level Holy Demon Kings. Rumble! A golden divine light descended from the sky. Immediately afterward, another slowing rune exploded. Lin Chun had expended 10,000 points of top-level rune energy to stall the other 3 Holy Demon Kings. He was wearing the God of War's right arm, and his pure strength skyrocketed. 150 trillion, 260 trillion, 370 trillion dragon power. The peerless divine power that could destroy tens of thousands of planes was infused into Lin Chen's body at lightning speed. Crawl! Lin Chen's fist smashed into the back of that Saint Devil King. A terrifying force pierced through the 9 heavens and 10 earth. The wind from his fist swept through the mountains and rivers, stirring up the winds and clouds. Another peak-level Saint Devil King that was comparable to a peak Saint Heart was successfully ambushed by Lin Chen. Successfully activated destructive creation. 1,300,000 high-grade talent points have been expended. Splat! 2 of the 3 Holy Demon Kings had been injured by Lin Chen. For the first time, all the dragon race monsters felt an inexplicable sense of fear. Was this guy still human? Chapter 1440. Lin Chen did not push his luck. He spread his heavenly demonic wings and retreated. Lin Chen still had a long way to go before an expert at the pinnacle of the Sacred Heart Realm, unless he used the 3 pieces of the War God's set or above. However, his goal was to hit his opponent with the destruction effect. With Lin Ping An's ability, his injuries would snowball. In less than 20 breaths, the slowing rune was broken. But it was too late. A large number of high-level Sacred Demon Kings died, and a large number of top-level Sacred Demon Kings were injured. The battle was one-sided. Boom! After injuring a high-level Sacred Demon King with a 9-layer Burning Sky Palm, Shangguan Chen, Feng Shui'er and Yu Xin also took the initiative to attack the heavily injured Sacred Demon Kings. They were very careful and did not get too close to their opponent. The 3 of them were not as crazy as Lin Chen. These were the top experts of the demon race. If they were not careful, they would be in fatal danger. We have already killed 84 high-level Sacred Demon Kings. I remember now. That Sacred Dragon is this generation's new King of 10,000 Dragons. The King of 10,000 Dragons is with the humans? What is going on? The dragon geniuses finally recovered from the slowing rune state. They were shocked and horrified. But when the dragon race wanted to break out, they realized that there were not only destructive hurricanes nearby, but also poisonous gas floating in the void. They were courting death. We are trapped here. We have to think of a way to break out. How about we ask the Yin-Yang creation dragon race to protect us? It's useless. This poisonous gas can easily penetrate sacred power and dragon aura. Our creation dragon aura cannot protect us. Motherf ****. That human is really intending to get rid of this bunch of demons. Luo Shuiwe shook her head and laughed when the dragon race monsters suddenly united. Slowing rune. Lin Chen used the slowing rune again, trying to stop the last top-level Sacred Demon King. The other party was already prepared. He broke through and exchanged a punch with Lin Chen. He was not injured at all. Sure enough, although the delaying rune is powerful, it's only effective for sneak attack. Lin Chen retreated. Just as he was about to hand it over to Lin Pingon, the 2 demon kings ignited with dark red blood flames. Heaven and earth become one, demons descend. The 2 demon kings roared angrily in unison. When a 10,000 zhang tall demon statue materialized and merged into their bodies, Lin Chen narrowed his eyes. You want to run? Chrono warp. Just as Lin Chen was about to unleash his transcendence, the 2 demon kings transformed into a bloody line and broke through the encirclement in an instant, piercing through the poison fog of disaster alive. Activation of Ultra Spacetime talent failed. Target is not in effective range. F***CK. You run pretty fast. The corner of Lin Chen's mouth twitched slightly. In the end, it was a demon king comparable to the peak of the Sacred Heart realm. It would not be so easy to kill it. The last demon king was not so lucky. At the beginning, he was hit by Lin Chen's 9 Tribulations star at close range. After that, Lin Ping and penetrated his defense several times. His demon body was severely injured, and his demon blood flowed freely. Coupled with the fact that his injuries could not heal, he was drowned by Lin Pingan's calamity poison gas. In less than 15 minutes, the entire demon race team was annihilated. 20 top-level Saint Demon Kings and 100 high-level Saint Demon Kings. This batch of demons was a walking calamity in any of the 36 regions of the sacred boundary. However, Lin Chen and the others had annihilated them in less than 15 minutes. Did they really kill so many demons? Big Brother Lin Chen is so awesome. I didn't expect that I, Shangguan Chen, would be able to participate in such a large-scale battle before stepping into the nascent star realm. This will be enough for me to accumulate and train for my breakthrough. Shangguan Chen and the others were excited and happy. At the same time, certain seeds were quietly planted in their hearts. Every battle with high-level Saint Demon Kings would allow the young prodigies of the human race to undergo a metamorphosis. This experience would be engraved in their bones and spirits, and they would eventually grow into a part of the human race that held up the sacred boundary. Obtained 500 million top-level health, 900,000 top-level spiritual power, 80,000 cultivation technique essences, 500,000 advanced talent points. The Saint Dragon Dance had helped Lin Chen obtain a huge amount of attribute points. Lin Chen and Lin Pingan high-fived in tacit understanding and grinned. Lin Chen smiled. Not bad. How does it feel to control your own power? Lin Pingan said in disbelief. It's amazing. If I could fight like you, those two wouldn't have been able to escape. Although Lin Pingan had been around for a long time, she did not have much combat experience. Lin Chen reached out to check her Providence plant pouch. 2 pseudo-middle-grade Providence plants had already turned black and could not be used for a while. The price for attacking is still heavy, but it's okay. I'll be able to make up for it later. Lin Chen turned to look at the dragon race prodigies and smiled very innocently, like a 250-pound child. So, handsome boys and beautiful girls, do you choose to be robbed or carried away? I don't care. Then, Lin Pingan clenched her fists and revealed her white canine teeth, pretending to be fierce. Rob or carry away? The dragons' mouths twitched. Damn it, did they have a choice? Counterattack before death? At least 90% of the dragon race prodigies present would have to die before they could fight their way out. This young master of the human race. A beautiful figure floated over like a fairy in the clouds. It was Luo Shueiyue, who was extremely powerful and famous among the dragon race prodigies. I'm willing to give you sufficient compensation. I hope you can let my people go. Luo Shueiyue bowed and her skirt swayed gently. She was like a lotus flower, elegant and beautiful. Lin Chen narrowed his eyes and quietly circulated his mental cultivation method. This woman's extreme hell water dragon bloodline is more than 10 times stronger than my holy dragon bloodline. His extreme hell water dragon bloodline was already at the peak of the 8th grade, strengthening plus 15 level. It was not inferior to a 9th grade bloodline. However, when facing this woman, Lin Chen could clearly feel that their dragon auras were not on the same level at all. Could it be the divine dragon bloodline? I won't buy the divine dragon bloodline, Lin Chen said with a half-smile. Don't think that I won't mess with you just because you're beautiful. I'm not negotiating with you now. I'm warning you. Clang, clang, clang. Flying daggers danced wildly. Lin Chen's 6 clones appeared again. The grayish-brown light between his brows flickered slightly. All the dragon race prodigies were shocked. How could he, Lin Chen, not eat meat that was placed in front of his mouth? These dragon race prodigies were all filthy rich. In addition, there were also many treasures in the dragon race battlefield. How could he give up? The more resources he obtained in the 9 races battlefield, the more hope he had for his servants to be cured. If he could choose, Lin Chun would want nothing more than to empty the 9 races battlefield. Young master, do you have to do this? Luo Shuiwe moved lightly. Her blue ripples flickered as she slowly rose. Her aura continued to climb. Usually, I don't like to hit women except for certain moments. However, if you want to gamble, then I'll accompany you to the end. Lin Chen's lips curled up. The 4-piece God of War set was ready to go all out at any time. This woman was not simple. If he wanted to suppress her, he would have to let Ping and activate the painful disaster state again. Otherwise, Lin Chen could only use the God of War set to deal with her. Chapter 1441. Lin Chen vs. Luo Shuiwe. Humans vs. Dragons. Within the destructive hurricane, both sides were ready to fight. Luo Shuiwe's eyes flickered a few times before she sighed. Why can't we talk? Because we have nothing to talk about. Lin Chen shrugged. Luo Shuiwe took out her Providence plant pouch and continued. I can collect the Providence plant pouches of my clansmen, but the premise is that you have to let them go first. After ensuring that they are fine, I will give you the Providence plant pouches. Lin Chen smiled in response to Luo Shuiwe's conditions. Sure. Lin Chen's slow rune and ultra spacetime talent were aimed at Luo Shuiwe at all times. If she dared to play tricks, Lin Chen had absolute confidence in keeping her here. Hey, woman, what right do you have to represent us? I'm not surrendering to humans. F***ck, it's just death. Come on. There were many unruly members of the dragon tribe. Seeing that Lin Chen had agreed to their conditions, they immediately became arrogant. It's just death, right? Then, a more comfortable death or a more painful death, which will you choose? Lin Ping and rubbed her fists and smiled. All the dragon tribe monsters felt their hair stand on end. Yes, they were not afraid of Lin Chen, but in the face of a painful calamity, her strength was obvious to everyone. They really fought with their lives on the line. Princess Shuiwe, thank you. The 2 beautiful dragon tribe princesses handed the Providence plant pouches to Luo Shuiwe. Luo Shuiwe immediately exchanged glances with Lin Chen. He nodded at the 2 women. Immediately, the 2 dragon tribe princesses flew in the direction of the hurricane area. Lin Chen's clone ignored them and left safely. Luo Shuiwe said calmly, if you want to fight, you can go up and fight to your heart's content. I won't stop you. Those who are willing to leave your things with me. The dragon tribe monsters looked at each other helplessly. More and more people handed over their storage rings and Providence plant pouches. Those unyielding monsters from before had now all handed over their destiny plant pouches dejectedly. With little shadow around, any attempt at concealment would not be able to escape his eyes. Finally, all 196 dragon race monsters handed over their belongings. Within the destructive hurricane, only Luo Shuiwe, her maid, and Lin Chen were left. With a wave of her hand, Luo Shuiwe passed 198 Providence plant pouches and dozens of storage rings to Lin Chen. The holy dragon opened its mouth and swallowed them all. Luo Shuiwe suddenly said after handing the Providence plant pouch to Lin Chen. Who would have thought that the new king of 10,000 dragons would be a human? Lin Chen smiled playfully. Are you surprised? Are you surprised? It's indeed very surprising. Luo Shuiwe suddenly smiled. She was as beautiful as a fairy that had descended to the mortal world. Even Mr. Lin couldn't help but stare blankly at her. What is she trying to do? A honey trap or a honey trap? No, my pants are going to move if I keep looking. Lin Chen broke out in cold sweat and looked away. This woman's temperament and appearance were comparable to the top 10 beauties on the Monster Genius ranking. Uxiner could not help but frown. Following that, Luo Shuiwe did something unexpected. She lifted the hem of her dress with her slender hands and bowed slightly, gracefully greeting Lin Chen as a guest. "Thank you, young master of the human race. Can you tell me your name?" Lin Chen suddenly smiled. "I robbed your dragon race and you're thanking me?" Luo Shueiyue smiled indifferently. "If you hadn't made a move, our dragon race's paragons would definitely have suffered great losses from the ambush set by the fiends. We can look for things again if we lose our things, but it's over if we lose our lives. Young master, you're worthy of my gratitude for keeping your word and letting my clansmen go." That's right. If Lin Chen hadn't made a move, it would have been extremely difficult for the dragon race to break out. With the 3 demon kings holding down the fort, they could easily reap the lives of a large number of monster incarnates of the dragon race. Although Lin Chen had robbed them, the dragon race did not lose out in terms of the outcome. Furthermore, Lin Chen's influence was not limited to that. After being robbed by Lin Chen and besieged by the fiends, the monster incarnates of the dragon race would most likely be even more careful in their actions and might even form a sizable group. That way, their chances of survival would be greatly increased. It was precisely because Luo Shueiyue saw through and predicted the benefits of all that she thanked Lin Chen. "Cheer, let's go." Luo Shueiyue bade farewell to Lin Chen and left with her maidservant. "That woman is far from being as pure as she looks. She's wise. If the dragon race had a few more geniuses like her, there wouldn't be such a huge gap between the races." Lin Chen had a higher opinion of Luo Shueiyue. In terms of lineup, the dragon race was clearly stronger than the human race's monster incarnates who entered the 9 races battlefield. However, this harvest is worth it. Lin Chen was overjoyed when he erased the dragon blood imprints on the Providence plant pouches. A large number of Providence plants. Moreover, there were more than a dozen mid-grade Providence plants. Most importantly, they were all at their peak. Lin Chen directly picked up the ready-made ones, plus the gains of the dragon race's monster incarnates during this period of time. For the dragon race, the most important thing was their bloodline. A monster incarnate of the dragon race might not have as many things as a human incarnate, such as cultivation techniques and sacred artifacts. The dragon race's monster incarnates would usually carry some heavenly treasures and golden sacred origin coins that were beneficial to them, as well as their own providence plants. Uxn looked at Lin Chen's little shadow and Lin Ping, and An sighed bitterly. "Prince Lin Chen, how many secrets do you have?" Lin Chen pretended to be deep and sighed. "Actually, I really don't have many secrets, just a little." Feng Shuer was curious. "A little?" Lin Chen nodded. "Yes, a little." Outside the destructive hurricane area, Lin Chen opened his palm. A translucent crimson blood jade flashed with a monstrous dragon aura. Lin Chen closed his eyes and felt the dragon aura. 780,000 miles to the north, there's a dragon tomb. Lin Chen opened his eyes, and his eyes lit up. The tomb of the ancient Taishi dragon. How powerful is the ancient dragon? It should at least have the bloodline of the divine dragon, right? I wonder how powerful my sacred dragon will be if it obtains the bloodline of the divine dragon. Lin Chen could not wait to fly into the air, and the 3 of them followed closely behind. His clones were in charge of guarding the surroundings, and they flew all the way to the location where the divine dragon blood jade reacted. When they arrived at the location where the dragon aura of the divine dragon blood jade attracted, they saw 3 huge mountains that looked like crouching dragons. The strange thing was that the 3 mountains did not seem strange at all from afar, but when they were within a radius of 100 miles, they would instantly fall and could not fly. Lin Chen and the others landed, and Shangguan Chen said in surprise, "What a strange mountain. There seems to be some secrets hidden here?" Uxn looked around. "There's nothing strange about it though." Whoosh! With a thought, Lin Chen used the sacred dragon possession. He and the sacred dragon became one, and several dragon bloodlines flowed in his body. "Don't move. Just guard outside. I'll go in." Lin Chen's face was solemn, which was rare. Everyone nodded like chickens pecking at rice. Lin Chen looked at the three huge mountains. Only he could see that between the undulating mountains and rivers, there was a dazzling light of attribute balls of light. Chapter 1442. Within the three giant mountains, attribute light balls flickered. However, this was the first time Lin Chen could see them, but he could not determine where they were located. Lin Chen walked into the Dragon Mountain alone. Even Little Shadow was left outside by him. The land of the ancient dragons is no small matter. If I enter as a human, I will be itching for a beating. I have to be careful. Half a day later, Lin Chen walked deep into the Dragon Mountains. At the center of the three Dragon Mountains, a dragon altar stood, surrounding the three mountains. This is the place. Lin Chen exhaled and stepped into the dragon altar. There was a dragon pattern groove on the dragon altar, and Lin Chen took out his divine dragon blood jade. He secretly activated his thinnest bloodline, the Grand Shi ancient dragon bloodline. Although he was moving in his original form, he was actually in the state of being possessed by the divine dragon. Buzz. Under the dragon pattern groove, two divine dragon blood jades were placed down. A faint reddish-gold light circulated around Lin Chen's body, faintly glowing with unprecedented low roars and dragon roars. At this moment, Lin Chen seemed to be possessed by a divine dragon. His dragon might was surging, and a reddish-gold dragon shadow soared into the 9 heavens. The dragon pattern groove quickly disappeared, and when it disappeared along with the divine dragon blood jade, light shone brightly and the stars changed. From the outside, there were no changes in the three mountains. However, in Lin Chen's eyes, the entire world had undergone a drastic change. Lin Chen saw that the starlight of billions of eras in the vast starry sky was flickering. In the boundless void, beams of apocalyptic energy shot out explosively. Planets exploded one after another, and thousands of dragons covered the sky. Thousands of divine dragons roared or fought in the same direction. From the corner of his eyes, Lin Chen also saw that there were humans, demons, dark shadows hiding in the depths of the starry sky, and the disappeared zergs. The zergs that covered the sky were torn apart, and at the center of the battle vortex was a boundless dark vortex surrounded by a halo. In the vortex, the distorted space-time was compressed to the extreme, as if even light could not escape. There seemed to be a figure inside the vortex. That figure had single-handedly resisted the attacks of numerous experts and various clans. What kind of battle is this? Could it be the battle I saw in the Dragon Totem? But, no, the characteristics are different. Lin Chen was momentarily dazzled. There were too many races and creatures involved, so he couldn't see the situation clearly. This world-shaking battle had lasted for far too long, and from what Lin Chen could see, the weakest of the experts who had participated in this battle had been at the heaven-opening realm. There were also some experts that even he could not see through. He could tear apart an entire galaxy with a single move. He was as heaven-defying as the creator of the universe. With the current Lin Chen, if he were to encounter such a battle, he would be as insignificant as an ant in the eye of a storm. When the battle came to an end, Lin Chen suddenly noticed that a terrifying spatial storm had suddenly exploded within the pitch-black and deep vortex. Along with the explosion of the spatial storm were 7 streaks of crimson light. Although it was only for an instant, Lin Chen clearly saw what those 7 streaks of crimson light were. It's the 7 pieces of crimson silk. Lin Chen was shocked and his mouth opened slightly. He had a part of this item. It was the crimson silk. Lin Chen had obtained it from the dean of the Heavenly Song Academy, and one from destroying the fake god that had invaded the 9 prefectures. In addition, he also had the inheritance of the ancient god. Even the ancient god, who was heavily injured and had fallen to the level of a saint, could not see through it. In addition, Lin Chen had obtained one from the coffin of the Clear Sky Sage King. Lin Chen had obtained a total of 4 pieces of crimson silk. and this crimson silk, according to the battle he had seen, should have a total of 7 pieces. Moreover, Lin Chen remembered it very clearly. Back then, Lin Xingchen had spared no expense and charged into the boundary tower alone with his sword. Killing him was secondary, and he had come for this item. Lin Xingchen called it the Crimson Divine 7 Damask? Could it be that this item is the target that all the major clans are sparing no expense to start the War of the 9 Clans to obtain? Lin Chen felt a lingering fear in his heart. Another lingering fear. Damn it, he had almost turned over. He felt that he had obtained such a big hot potato. Lin Xingchen must have wanted to snatch this item, which was why he did not spread the news of him. Otherwise, once the news spread and other experts or clans knew that he had the Crimson Divine 7 Damask, they would send out the strongest experts. Perhaps even 9th Revolution sages or sage kings would come. Lin Xingchen also thought that I only had the Crimson Divine Red Damask stolen from the Clear Sky Sage King, but I actually have 4. If I can obtain the other 3, does it mean that I can solve the mystery of the War of the 9 Clans? Just as Lin Chen was pondering, rumble, all the strange phenomena disappeared, and Lin Chen appeared in a beautiful and quiet valley. In the valley, a faint and pure dragon might called out to the ancient Taishi dragon bloodline in his body. This is... Lin Chen's eyes lit up. Far away in the void, there was another plane that resided there. In an arena. Use your strength. What are you doing? Are you all cowards? How are you going to recover the demon race's great plan? Kill your opponent. Remember, kill your opponent as soon as you attack. Bring out your killing intent. In the arena, countless afterimages fought back and forth, entangling themselves in a fierce battle. They had the appearance of humans, but their skin and features were more or less of the demon race's characteristic. The murderous aura when they attacked had the ferocity and violence of the demon race. This was the plane that the demon race belonged to, and it specialized in cultivating powerful demon race warriors. The leader was a male demon race. His face was sharp and chiseled, and he was cold and murderous. He wore an eye patch on his left eye and had only one eye. Mad Dragon, if you train like this, many demon race disciples will die. At this time, a beautiful young woman with a demon horn on her head said helplessly. The cold one-eyed man said indifferently, "The demon race doesn't need trash. Rather than dying in the hands of outsiders, it's better to die in the hands of our own people. If you don't even have this ability, how can you build an army to destroy the human race? What I want are warriors who risk their lives, not children who come here to play cultivation games." The beautiful young woman frowned. "Are you still thinking about revenge? Even in my dreams?" His demonic eyes were filled with hysterical madness. "Do you know how the human race treated my clansmen? They cut off the heads of my clansmen, dug through their bodies, and used their bodies as skin to hang on top of the city wall. It's been more than 1,000 eras, and I can't forget the look in my dead kin's eyes every day and night." Boom. 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 A terrifying murderous aura spread out from Mad Dragon's body, and the sky and space within a radius of 10,000 miles trembled violently. Buzz. 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 At this time, a pressure that originated from the depths of his bloodline came from the distant plain. All the demon race immediately stopped. They were all suppressed by this pressure to the point that they could not breathe. Mad Dragon was stunned, and then blood dripped down from the corners of his eyes. The Empress has come out of seclusion. The Empress has finally chosen the throne. The day of crusading against the human race is not far away. At this time, a cold and emotionless voice spread throughout all the planes of the demon race. This Emperor has ordered all the demon race kings to gather in the demon capital. Chapter 1443. This Emperor has an order. All the demonic kings of the army, gather in the capital. When the cold and heartless voice spread throughout all the demonic planes, the demonic race welcomed the greatest upheaval in history. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. Rays of demonic light shot into the 9 heavens, crossing the planes and shining on another plane like light. In front of a dark and boundless hall. Rumble! The experts of the demonic race had gathered. Among them, there was no lack of human experts. Damn it, why are there humans here? Should we wipe them out? The trash of the human race also wants to participate in our sacred meeting. It's the lackey that the Empress brought back from the holy prison. The expressions of the demonic experts were either gloomy or furious. Their faces were ferocious, and their killing intent was monstrous. The group of humans that were surrounded were old and young, men and women. Some were solitary and gloomy, while others seemed free and easy, but in reality their sharpness was restrained. Some were charming and charming, hiding knives in their smiles. In the face of the demonic race's killing intent, they were calm and collected. Those who should be drinking, those who should be sleeping, some yawned, some were sleepy, and some did not even change their expressions. They were extremely at ease. This group of humans among the demonic race was the most terrifying existence in the holy prison back then. The vicious and evil people whose names had been erased in the history of the sacred boundary. If the group of experts that Lin Chun had brought away had the greatest potential, then this group of humans was the strongest. Each of them was the history of the blood disaster in the sacred boundary. Potential and strength were 2 completely different concepts. Silence. An old man shouted coldly. The throne in the void was covered in claws and feathers. The faint demonic chi turned into clouds. The beautiful and slender figure walked step by step to the throne in the void and sat back down. Greetings, Empress. All the demonic race knelt on the ground in unison, cold sweat flowing down their back. There was fear in their respect. The previously arrogant criminals of the holy prison all knelt on the ground. She has indeed reached that realm. In this universe, there is no one who can match her. There's no mistake. She's even stronger than the gods back then. She's even stronger than the Azura god who disappeared in the long river of history. The expressions of the criminals changed, and their pupils were filled with unconcealable fear. The beautiful figure in the void was cold to the bone. In the shortest amount of time, gather strength and inform the elders of the demon race who are in seclusion in the various major planes. Order them to come out of seclusion at all costs. Those who do not pay will be killed. Send troops to the 3 demonic planes and pass down a decree to summon them unconditionally. Those who dare not surrender will be beheaded. Wait for this Emperor's order to unify all the forces of the demon-human race. Lead the army to the sacred boundary and wipe out the human race. The demonic dweller kings roared in unison. Understood. Dragon Clan, Palace of Bliss. Wine pools and meat forests, bliss and extravagance, beauties in group. However, the man in the imperial robe in the main hall seemed to have received a summons. He suddenly opened his eyes and looked down on the world. His invincible aura suppressed the entire plane and caused it to tremble. When he stood up, he disappeared like a ghost. When he reappeared, he was standing on the peak of a mountain, gazing into the distance with a particularly deep gaze. In the end, they still managed to complete it. The demon race has a new emperor, and the world is about to fall into chaos. Don't tell me that the same thing will happen again? The demon race's target is the human race. After the human race, will it be the dragon race or the beast race? There are fewer and fewer people in our race who inherit the divine dragon bloodline. We have entered the battlefield of the 9 clans several times, but we still haven't found the inheritance of our ancestors. The dragons are gone, and the gods have dissipated. Could it be that it is the demon race's turn to become the emperor of this world? When the man in the imperial robe opened his palm, 10 different dragon patterns circulated and flickered. Suddenly, one of the dragon patterns flickered with a faint light, causing the man in the imperial robe's expression to change greatly. Has someone finally found the tomb of the Taishi ancient dragon? In the boundless underground devil's den. A young man sat in the skull hall, holding a jade cup with 2 fingers. He shook the saint blood in the jade cup and took a sip. The blood of this Saint Heart State is several grades lower than the blood essence of 9th Revolution saints and saint kings. The evil young man hid a knife in his smile. An eyeball suddenly opened on his pale neck, causing him to squint his eyes. The demon race is done? The young man stood up and stretched. A terrifying pressure shattered the entire plane. He looked up at the sky and smiled evilly. It's time to gather strength and overturn this saint prison. Back to Linchen. Mountains rose and fell, birds chirped and flowers bloomed. He was transported to a place in a paradise. The attribute light ball's light seemed to be flowing with reddish gold patterns, forming a light pillar that rose from the distance. However, Lin Chen did not approach rashly. He felt an unprecedented pressure from the dragon race. The will of the Taishi ancient dragon is here. Damn, I'm a little nervous. When the ancient dragon was alive, it was probably stronger than any 9th Revolution saints or saint kings. It is very likely that it was at the level of a true god. Lin Chen walked carefully into the valley. What would the ancient dragon look like when it transformed? An old man with the demeanor of an immortal? Or a rotten old man? Or a handsome middle-aged man? Or a ruthless overlord with a face full of arrogance? Or one that was even more handsome than this handsome guy? Finally, Lin Chen arrived at the center of the valley. There was a waterfall that looked like a silver river. Lin Chen sealed his saint acupoint tightly. The sacred dragon possession covered his entire body. Although his human form did not change, Lin Chen's current appearance was precisely that of his sacred dragon. At this moment, a voice that was as light as a bell came from the dense mist in front of the waterfall. La la la, Lin Chen was stunned. Why was there a little girl's voice? He took a closer look. Beside the waterfall's bluestone, her arms were laid out horizontally. Her slender hands were crossed, and the back of her delicate hands were supporting a languid face. Her soft golden hair was dripping with sparkling and translucent water droplets that dripped onto her snow-white collarbone. Her jade-like arms were tender like jade, and her charming and enchanting dimples were petite and exquisite. She was like a beauty that had been passed down from generation to generation, and with a single glance she could topple a city, and with another glance she could topple a nation. She did not open her eyes. Her long golden eyelashes fluttered as she smiled sweetly. "Kid, come and give me a massage. I haven't seen a living one in a long time." Handsome Lin was dumbfounded. What was going on? There was only one little girl here? Could it be that the ancient Taishi dragon gave him a test? "This little girl you are. Why are you talking so much nonsense? Come over here." Lin Chen, the little blonde girl, don't think that I won't dare to hit you just because you're handsome. Lin Chen was speechless for a moment. He stepped into the waterfall and looked at the little girl's naked, jade-like back. He could not help but swallow his saliva subconsciously. Lin Chen tried to massage her shoulders, but he realized that he could not do it. One must know that the strength of Lin Chen's finger was at the level where it could sever mountains, rivers, and meteors. How could he not be able to massage a little girl? It was a bit embarrassing to be the club's deputy director. "I don't believe this." Lin Chen exerted his strength. 1 trillion dragon power, 5 trillion, until the sacred dragon's full strength, 50 trillion dragon power. The little girl muttered lazily, 50 venerables, huh? That's barely enough." She smiled slyly and hooked her snow-white feet back in the water. Lin Chen sucked in a cold breath. F***ck, she's serious. "Kid, tell me about the recent situation of the dragon race." The little blonde girl smiled sweetly. Lin Chen's mouth twitched. Little girl, can you stop fooling around? Where's the ancient Taishi dragon?" "Ancient Taishi dragon?" The little girl was surprised. I'm the ancient Taishi dragon. Lin Chen was instantly dumbfounded. Chapter 1444. This naked, cute, and charming little girl in front of him was the ancient Taishi dragon. Lin Chen sized her up again, and the corners of his mouth twitched slightly. The golden-haired little girl lifted Lin Chen's chin with her slender fingers and smiled charmingly. "Kid, you have quite the capital." Lin Chen's mouth was slightly open. This was not right. Where was the unfathomable old grandpa? Where's the overlord that's so awesome? Where was the cynical old urchin? Why did she feel like a female hooligan? The ancient Taishi dragon laughed. "Ha ha ha ha, look at how scared you are. Let's talk about serious matters. What happened to the dragon race recently?" Lin Chen was speechless. He was indeed scared out of his wits. The dragon race is indeed not peaceful. According to what I know, the dragon race has been divided into several classes and grades since the War of the Nine Races. Lin Chen carefully told her all the information he knew. He had done his homework before coming here. If he did not know anything, wouldn't he be easily exposed? Lin Chen explained while massaging the big boss. This was the most difficult massage in Lin Chen's history, although he had never massaged anyone before. With 50 trillion dragon power points, he could only give her a massage. Lin Chen deeply felt the difference between him and these monsters. It had to be said that if it weren't for the fact that there were hidden dangers, it would be a freaking miracle for Lin Chen to be able to suppress them. The little girl in the form of the ancient dragon quietly listened to Lin Chen's report. She was calm and relaxed. "Well, it seems that after we left, the descendants of the dragon race are indeed not that good." The little girl's beautiful eyes rolled as she smiled indifferently. "Well, senior, what was the War of the Nine Races engraved in the dragon race's totem previously?" Lin Chen inquired without batting an eyelid. The battle he had seen in the dragon totem was clearly different from the one he had seen on the battlefield of the Nine Races. "Hee, I didn't expect a little guy like you to be concerned about such things. That battle was the one that destroyed the ancestral dragon. After the battle, all the ancestral dragons disappeared. I don't know the reason either. I only know that some extremely powerful existences descended upon our universe. After the ancestral dragon was destroyed and disappeared, the various great divine dragons went through several great battles. Some died and some were injured. We, the ancient Taishi dragons, once had the ancestral dragon to suppress the world. In the end, I was the only one left and we were almost extinct. I thought that this wouldn't wait for the descendants of the dragon race." The little girl smiled sweetly and said, "But I didn't expect that a weirdo like you would come. You have very little of the ancient Taishi dragon's bloodline in your body. You even have the bloodline of the ancient Taishi dragon. This is truly rare." Lin Chen was shocked. The will of the ancient Taishi dragon was indeed terrifyingly powerful. She could see through him at a glance. One had to know that the attributes of his 3 great divine dragon bloodlines were many times higher than those of the 2 great ancient dragon bloodlines. To detect the extremely faint trace of the ancient Taishi dragon's bloodline in his body was millions of times harder than finding a needle in a haystack. Lin Chen suddenly asked with a strange expression, "Senior, don't you think it's strange that I have so many bloodlines?" "Monster?" The little girl was stunned and laughed loudly. "This is considered a monster? You're still far from it." She turned her body sideways, and the beautiful curve of her snow-white body almost made Brother Chen's pants move. The little girl continued, "This world is too big. There will always be some unreasonable fellows. I've seen too many of these monsters. Compared to them, you're still considered cute." The little girl's beautiful eyes suddenly flowed with golden light. She seemed to be immersed in her memories, and there was even a trace of fear and dread. "Let's not talk about 2 divine dragon bloodlines. In this world, there was once a monster who had the bloodline of the 9 great chaotic ancestral dragons, and he was a human, her expression changed extremely quickly. When she got up, she put her hands on her hips and exposed herself to Lin Chen without any taboo. She smiled like a flower. "All right, your massage is not bad. It's extremely difficult for the ancient Taishi dragon to reproduce, and it's normal that we're extinct now. I'll bestow the last of my dragon energy and divine dragon bloodline to you." Lin Chen's face lit up with joy. "Just a massage and it's done? This is such a good thing? However, to be able to obtain my dragon blood, you can't be an ordinary dragon. You'll have to undergo a test." The golden-haired little girl smiled slyly. Lin Chen facepalmed. "I knew it. What test? Just come at me." The little girl praised. "Yes, you're very bold." Her slender hand pulled on Lin Chen's collar. He was stunned for a moment, and the golden-haired little girl pulled him over. Her delicate lips pressed against his, and the lilac wrapped around them, dragging the sparkling silk down. For the first time, Lin Chen was stunned 3 times in a very short period of time. "It's great to be young," she smiled, revealing her white canine teeth and faint dimples. "Let's go." The golden-haired little girl tossed the stunned Lin Chen directly into the waterfall. "Little guy, don't die." Her voice echoed in Lin Chen's ears. Boom. Lin Chen sank to the bottom of the waterfall. He was surrounded by a starry sky, and he arrived in a brand new dimension. F***ck. I've been teased so many times. What a loss. Lin Chen wiped his mouth, very indignant. It had always been him teasing others. No one could tease him. No, I have to tease her back later. Boom. The entire dimension shook. Under the vast starry sky, opposite Lin Chen, a pitch-black figure walked toward him. When this figure appeared, chi. At this moment, Lin Chen was bleeding all over. The holy dragon's dragon blood gushed out like a fountain. Outside the waterfall, the ancient Taishi dragon, who was sitting with her legs crossed, frowned slightly and muttered to herself. "Is this test too difficult? But if you don't even have this standard, you won't even have the ability to protect yourself in the coming turbulent times." At this moment Lin Chen was shocked. He was forced to retreat by the aura released by the figure in front of him, and the injuries on his body became more and more horrifying. It's the deity's will. The ancient Taishi dragon has perfectly recreated the deity's will. It's even more terrifying than the deity's will I felt in the clear sky Holy King's tomb that day. Lin Chen gritted his teeth, stepped into the void, and stood still under the deity's might. His yin-yang creation dragon aura kept circling around him, healing his injuries at a godlike speed and quickly tearing open more injuries. Roar. Lin Chen let out a wild and violent dragon roar, unyielding to the heavens and the deity's might. Unlike before, Lin Chen could resist the deity's will with the Tai Sky technique. But he couldn't do that now. He couldn't expose his human means. He could only resist the deity's might with his holy dragon heritage. If any of the dragon race's monstrous geniuses were to undergo this test, it would be fatal. Chapter 1445. A dragon's roar reverberated through heaven and earth. It actually had some battle intent against the true God's will. The eyes of the golden-haired little girl outside the waterfall lit up, and she clenched her fists. He blocked it. This little guy blocked the divine power. Next, he will pass after 10 more breaths. This true God phantom was a human true God that she had once battled. It was also a dimension that she had simulated with her spiritual will over countless years. In this plane, there were opponents that she had fought before. She wanted to use her divine power to test the dragon of the future. If he couldn't pass, he wouldn't be qualified to inherit her divine dragon blood essence. The ancient Taishi dragons were a race that had once produced the ancestral dragon. Their divine blood wouldn't be passed down to ordinary dragons. The successor had to be extraordinary enough, strong enough, and tenacious enough. Otherwise, even if they had the divine blood, they would only be a live target in the outside world. A lamb waiting to be slaughtered. Boom. In the special dimension, Lin Chen's body twisted, and he directly revealed the holy dragon's true form. The next moment, what even the golden-haired little girl didn't expect was 5 azure dragon heaven-raising claws that cut across the sky, tore through the sky and grabbed at the true god phantom. Immediately after, the dragon's breath fell, and the 5 extreme hell heavenly prisons descended. A section of the azure dragon's tail turned into a sword and rolled over. The azure dragon's light flashed across the sky and slashed out explosively. The attacks that blotted out the sky and blotted out the sun rushed towards the true god without the slightest hint of fear. F***CKU, true gods are nothing. Lin Chen transformed into the holy dragon and roared. He soared into the sky, his killing intent soaring into the sky. His battle intent swept across the 9 heavens and 10 lands, looking down on all worlds. Even the golden-haired little girl was stunned. Not to mention a wisp of a true god's divine power, even a 9th refinement saint's might was enough to suppress an ordinary dragon. They would be scared out of their wits and find it difficult to fight. Not to mention, above the 9th refinement saint, there was the Holy King. Above the Holy King was the true God realm. A wisp of a true god's divine power could slaughter saints like slaughtering pigs and dogs. A single thought could crush a large number of saints to death. The two were not in the same cognitive category at all. Although Lin Chen was born with innate talent, there were too many creatures in the sacred boundary that could crush him. However, in terms of fighting spirit and courage, Lin Chen could be considered the most terrifying alien in the world. From the 9 provinces all the way to the sacred boundary, the powerful enemies he faced were always beyond common sense. This had sharpened his fighting spirit and temperament to an incomparably powerful edge. If one were to compare a monstrous genius and a madman, Lin Chen was more like the latter. His willpower had reached the level of a madman's determination. The sharpness hidden deep in his heart would not be easily revealed when he was usually frivolous. However, once it was unleashed, there was no god in the universe that could make him yield. Even if he didn't have the Taifutian scripture, he, Lin Chen, wouldn't lower his head to any god. Even the golden-haired girl did not expect this. Her expectation was that among the dragons of the later generations, those who could survive for 10 breaths under the divine might would be able to meet her standards. I didn't expect this little guy to have such a strong fighting spirit. He's much stronger than those monsters back then. Stage 8 Holy Dragon shakes the divine might. The golden-haired girl clicked her tongue in wonder. However, the next moment, bang. Faced with Lin Chen's numerous attacks, the mighty and shocking real god phantom was blown apart head-on. After destroying the true god phantom, Lin Chen transformed into his human form. He was bathed in blood and panting heavily. The golden-haired girl shook her head and exclaimed, "What a fierce little guy. He's really domineering. He even dares to face a true god head-on. Suitable, it couldn't be more suitable." This young man was the last descendant of the ancient Taishi dragon. Buzz, buzz. At that moment, ripples appeared in space. Another figure appeared in the mysterious plane. The man had long hair and was gentle and elegant. Under his calm demeanor hid a domineering aura. At a glance, it was as if 10,000 years of reincarnation had been destroyed. He wore a dragon ring with the head of a black dragon on his ring finger. He just stood there, and the universe turned into chaos. The stars collapsed, and dragons danced around him with peerless divine might. He was invincible. An unprecedented fatal danger shrouded Lin Chen instantly. Oh no. The little girl's expression changed slightly. She recalled that this was a special plane during her willpower training. Once she defeated the enemy, she would welcome the next imaginary enemy. In fact, it wasn't that the ancient Taishi dragon had a bad memory. It was that Lin Chen's actions were too unexpected. Who would have thought that he could destroy a wisp of a true god's divine might? The imaginary enemy that Lin Chen was facing now was the only person that the ancient Taishi dragon felt that she couldn't surpass in her life. Whoosh! The golden-haired girl disappeared instantly and rushed into the plain. In 1/10,000th of a breath, Lin Chen and that person's eyes met. His eyes seemed to contain countless dragon souls. He was like the peak of the dragon race and the origin of the dragon race's civilization. When facing him, Lin Chen felt an unprecedented sense of danger. This sense of danger was greater than the true god's will, the demon Tharch, and even Luo Yao. Just his aura alone was enough to crush Lin Chen to smithereens. Even Lin Chen's consciousness was distorted. You want to crush me with your aura? I'll make you lose a layer of flesh before I die. Lin Chen's eyes shone brightly. Boom, boom. Almost instinctively, Lin Chen activated his four-piece God of War set. 200 trillion dragon power, 400 trillion dragon power, 600 trillion. Lin Chen's strength soared to an unprecedented level in an instant. He punched out fiercely. This punch moved the ancient Taishi dragon's will. Her expression was very interesting. Chi. Bam. Heaven and earth were turned upside down. Lin Chen's punch sucked away everything and he lost consciousness. After a long time, Lin Chen felt as though he was in a dream. It was pitch black and his consciousness kept sinking. Finally, there was a warm, and soft feeling that surrounded him. It lasted for a long time, as though all his fatigue had been released. Lin Chen felt relaxed from his consciousness to the inside and outside of his body. When he finally woke up, Lin Chen found himself lying on the ground with the golden-haired little girl's lap as his pillow. Her slender fingers gently lifted the snow-white skin on the side of her lips as she licked the white skin on her fingertips and smiled charmingly. I didn't expect you to be so good at fighting besides having such a strong fighting spirit, little guy. Lin Chen was dazed. He couldn't remember what he had done before he lost consciousness. He asked in a daze, Senior, did I pass the test? You can't remember? The golden-haired little girl was stunned. Lin Chen shook his head. His head was splitting. Yes, you passed. The golden-haired little girl stroked his forehead and smiled. You passed in all aspects. She muttered to herself in her heart. This is the first time I've seen someone who dares to challenge that guy other than me. Perhaps you'll grow to an unimaginable height in the future. The divine dragon blood essence you want. Then, she flicked her finger, and a stream of light sank into the waterfall. Then, the waterfall stirred up huge waves. Boom! A blood jade, which contained the power of billions of colossal dragons and released an immortal dragon clan aura, floated in the air. Chapter 1446. Buzz. The ancient dragon blood essence condensed into a crystal form and floated in front of Lin Chen. This is the ancient Taishi dragon's divine dragon blood essence. Lin Chen could clearly feel that the faint Taishi ancient dragon bloodline in his body had been activated and was about to take action. Hey, don't move. With your current body, you might explode on the spot if you absorb it directly. The golden-haired girl knocked on Lin Chen's head. Drip your blood essence on it. Lin Chen waved his finger, and a drop of blood essence shot into the dragon blood crystal. Buzz. Boom. The dragon blood crystal emitted an unprecedented dragon aura, and Lin Chen was sucked into the waterfall before it could affect him. Chi. Blood smoke rose around the waterfall, and the area under the waterfall turned into a crimson blood pool. The little girl smiled. Okay, you can go down now. Take off your clothes and soak in it for 2 hours every day until the blood pool clears. Lin Chen was stunned. Senior, will taking off my clothes? She pulled a long face. What? What are you afraid of? You've already eaten it. Why are you still hesitating? Lin Chen. What? When did you eat it? What the heck? I'm going to lose 100 million blood essence? So hesitant. Go down. The golden-haired girl tore off Lin Chen's clothes. She kicked him into the waterfall with her delicate foot. Boom! The entire blood pool boiled instantly. Lin Chen felt as if he was in lava. He was about to use his dragon aura to resist when a delicate voice sounded. Don't use any means to resist. Let the blood essence enter your body in the most natural form. Lin Chen sucked in a breath of cold air, calmed down, and let the energy of the ancient dragon blood essence flow into his body. Host has received 10,000 points of ancient Taishi dragon bloodline, 9,900 points of ancient Taishi dragon bloodline, 1,950 points of ancient Taishi dragon bloodline. Lin Chen's ancient dragon bloodline attribute points rose rapidly. This is? Lin Chen discovered that his sacred dragon pure power was continuously rising. However, his dragon veins remained unchanged at 5 trillion dragon veins. Every dragon vein was becoming more and more powerful, and the amount of dragon chi he could hold was even greater than before. This little guy is pretty strong. He managed to stabilize himself so quickly. If it was any other dragon race brat, they would have screamed long ago. Holding her snow-white chin, the golden-haired little girl recalled the previous scene. He actually dared to make a move against that fellow. This little fellow's potential might far exceed my expectations. Time passed. What surprised the golden-haired girl was that Lin Chen didn't just soak for 2 hours. In a single day, he soaked for more than 8 hours. Following that, on the second day and the third day, he was able to last longer and longer. The speed at which he absorbed the divine dragon blood essence was incredibly fast. On the 7th day, Lin Chen could already soak in it all the time. On the 8th day, Lin Chen began to swim in the blood pool. On the 9th day, Lin Chen was singing while eating hot pot in the blood pool. The little blonde girl was dumbfounded. Where did this monster come from? One had to know that when she had awakened her divine dragon bloodline back then, she had undergone the ancestral dragon bloodline awakening ceremony and was in so much pain that she couldn't move for more than half a year. This kid could still eat, swim, sing, and eat hot pot in the blood pool? If this was back then, this little guy might even be stronger than me. The little blonde girl was in awe. A month later, bam! Lin Chen rushed out of the blood pool and stood naked above the waterfall. He couldn't help but take a deep breath. This is the divine dragon bloodline. Lin Chen clenched his fists, feeling as if he was invincible. The current sacred dragon could single-handedly beat Lin Chen's main body. The power of the sacred dragon has reached an unprecedented height. Although its grade hasn't changed, it's completely different from before. Lin Chen's eyes bloomed with absolute confidence. He looked inwardly at the dragon veins in his body. Each dragon vein was like an angry dragon overturning the river. With tens of millions of dragon veins added together, it was as if they could destroy the galaxy and sink the plane. However, every dragon vein in Lin Chen's current sacred dragon had undergone earth-shattering changes. The capacity of the dragon veins had increased by a full 10 times. It was too damn strong. Wasn't the divine dragon bloodline cheating? To put it bluntly, if the current Lin Chen fought with his sacred dragon, Lin Chen would be hammered into a fool. And this was under the premise that all clones, talents, trump cards were used. Not to mention the many transformations brought about by the divine dragon bloodline, just the dragon veins alone were the same as before, 5 trillion dragon veins. Under normal circumstances, a dragon vein could contain a large amount of dragon aura and increase the pure power of 1 billion dragon power points. Every additional dragon vein would increase 1 billion dragon power points. Even if the dragon vein's dragon aura was exhausted, it could still produce a power that matched the number of dragon veins. This was the advantage of the dragon race and the beast race. But now, the capacity of the dragon veins had increased by 10 times. In other words, the current dragon vein of the sacred dragon could contain 10 billion dragon power points. How much was 50 trillion dragon power points increased by 10 times? 500 trillion dragon power points. What made Lin Chen feel even more perverse was that this was only the most basic upgrade. Even if the current Lin Chen used the 4-piece God of War set and went all out, it was still uncertain whether he could defeat his sacred dragon. The divine dragon bloodline was so strong that it made one's hair stand on end. Within the same level, a divine dragon's descendant could destroy a bunch of so-called dragon race monsters with a swipe of its claws. No wonder the dragon race values bloodline talents so much. The divine dragon bloodline. Although it's awesome compared to those rank 8 and rank 9 bloodlines, it's not worth a mention in front of the divine dragon bloodline. It's on a completely different level. I finally have a divine dragon's descendant. Lin Chen exclaimed in his heart. From this moment onward, Lin Chen's sacred dragon had become his strongest trump card once again. Little guy, come. The blonde little girl stepped on air and whistled at him frivolously. Only then did Lin Chen realize that he was naked. With a wave of his hand, a brand new robe covered his entire body. The little girl smiled and said, "Come, I'll practice with you." A minute later, whoosh, bam, the plane shook and the sky and earth shook. Lin Chen was thrown upside down. He spun 360 degrees in the air and landed on his head with his butt facing the sky. "Senior, can't you be a little gentler?" Lin Chen sucked in a breath of cold air and the corners of his mouth twitched. F***ck. He didn't look cool for more than 3 seconds. A moment ago, he felt that he was almost invincible. Then, he was beaten into a pulp. This is already the lightest. It's not even comparable to children playing around. The blonde little girl clapped her hands. "You've just obtained power, so you're more or less not familiar with it. I'll practice with you for a while and you'll get it. Also, when my original body died, I lost too much power. Your divine dragon bloodline can only be considered the lowest level now. Although there are probably very few descendants of the current dragons with divine dragon bloodline, once you encounter other descendants of the dragon race with a complete divine dragon bloodline, you might be completely destroyed. So now, you have to work hard to control your power." Lin Chen got up. The blonde little girl took a step forward and continued to practice with him. However, Lin Chen's speed of improvement once again moved her. His body seemed to have perfectly accommodated the divine dragon blood essence. There was no state of weakness at all. At most, his control of power was not in place yet. What an incredible kid! Chapter 1447. In less than 3 days, Lin Chen had perfectly mastered the power of the divine dragon bloodline. Lin Chen sat cross-legged beside the waterfall. One of my illusionary doppelgangers is comparable to a pinnacle star realm cultivator at most. With my main body and 6 doppelgangers working together, I can fight an early-stage Sacred Heart realm cultivator. If I use the slow rune for a sneak attack, it's already my limit to deal with mid-stage Sacred Heart realm cultivators. As for late-stage and pinnacle Sacred Heart realm cultivators, I can only use the Ares set or use my doppelgangers to try and kill them together, Lin Chen pondered. After entering the battlefield of the 9 tribes, the biggest change to his main body was the improvement of his flesh shell. The improvement of his flesh shell's pure power would also increase the lower and upper limits of Lin Chen's Ares set. For example, Lin Chen, who had 1 trillion dragon power points, would need to charge more than 1% to use the maximum power of a single Ares set once. And for Lin Chen, who had 28 trillion dragon power points, using the maximum power of a single Ares set would only require 0.5% or less. Moreover, the speed of increasing his power would also increase. By the way, Senior Ancient Dragon, what's that direction? At this moment, Lin Chen finally pointed in the direction of the attribute light ball. Ever since he entered this plane, the reddish-gold attribute light had filled the entire plane. The golden-haired little girl was surprised. You're really surprising me more and more. You can even find this. That's a part of my dragon body. I've already hidden it well. Logically speaking, even the dragon tribe's holy king shouldn't be able to find it. How did you find it? Lin Chen said in a serious tone. Maybe it's because I'm more handsome. The golden-haired little girl. The beautiful woman laughed until her body trembled. She held her stomach and laughed for a long time. Her delicate hand grabbed Lin Chen, and her lotus feet stepped into the air. The stars moved. When Lin Chen steadied himself again, he had arrived at a star field filled with dazzling stars. It was vast and boundless, as if countless planets were connected into one. Why is it so dark? Before Lin Chen could finish speaking, his mouth opened slightly. The pure gold dragon horn was like jade, translucent and dazzling. The dragon's eyes were tightly shut, and a divine dragon head, as large as a galaxy, floated in this star field. Lin Chen was shocked, speechless. Is this the true form of the ancient Taishi dragon? And it was just a dragon head? If his main body was still intact, a single swipe of his claws would probably tear apart more than half of the sacred boundary. During the War of the 9 Races, my body was shattered into pieces. A part of it was even sucked into that damned whirlpool. How terrifying! The little blonde girl shook her head and laughed. She patted Lin Chen's shoulder and smiled sweetly. Little guy, what are you doing here? Don't tell me it's just for the sake of worshipping me. There's definitely worship. Lin Chen grinned and leaped into the air. It seemed like a short distance, but it took him almost 15 minutes to reach the ancient Taishi dragon's head. The pure gold elemental light was emitted from the dragon head. Lin Chen placed his palm on the dazzling dragon horn, and the elemental light was absorbed. Congratulations, host, for obtaining the divine dragon bloodline special ability. You have awakened the ancient Taishi dragon bloodline special ability, Taishi Divine Light. Marshal Lin's mouth opened wide. The divine abilities of the dragon race were divided into normal, outstanding, superior, pinnacle, perfect, transcendent, and peerless. There were no records of peerless divine abilities below the primordial dragon race. There were only a few historical records of the primordial dragon race. Of course, they were only records and not cultivation method. No one knew how many dragons were left that could cultivate and pass down their legacies. In terms of human cultivation techniques, peerless divine abilities were at least comparable to orange-grade advanced battle techniques, or even stronger. Without a doubt, this peerless divine ability would become Lin Chen's strongest trump card at this stage. The divine dragon bloodline is indeed perverted. Just as Lin Chen was exclaiming, a shadow in the Providence plant pouch suddenly exploded. Boom! A sense of danger surged into Lin Chen's heart, and his battle intent instantly exploded. Little Shadow is in danger. Lin Chen's expression was especially serious. The shadow in the Providence plant pouch was a mark left behind by Little Shadow. Once the mark broke, it meant that this little guy's life was in danger. The golden-haired girl frowned. Little guy, what's wrong? Lin Chen looked out into the starry sky and said seriously, Senior, my friend is in danger. I have to leave first. Oh? Something in the outside world? The golden-haired girl's palm faced Lin Chen and smiled. Then go, I'll send you away. She waved her palm, and Lin Chen turned into a spatial beam. When he reappeared, he was back in the middle of the 3 Dragon Mountains. Thank you, Senior. Lin Chen shouted into the Dragon Mountains and rushed out. Outside the 3 Dragon Mountains, Little Shadow enveloped the 3 of them and retreated all the way, teleporting tens of thousands of miles away at lightning speed. Boom! The earth shook and 4 figures floated in the air. Ah! Shangguan Chen, Feng Shuer, you 2 traitors of the Divine Flame Palace. How dare you work with Lin Chen? I'll destroy you today. Today, with the patriarchs will hear, I'll see where you traitors can run to. I'll kill you traitors first, and then I'll find Lin Chen to avenge Big Brother Shangguan Ci. These 4 people were the prodigies of the Divine Flame Palace. The leader was the young man in blood-red clothes, Xue Haiyang, and he was the main force in the battlefield of the 9 races this time. At this moment, his eyes were red and his veins were bulging. A red-haired elder's shadow floated behind him. With a casual grab, a large area of space distorted, and his saint power tore thousands of miles of mountains and rivers. Among the 3 people hiding in the 2 mountain valleys, Shangguan Chen had a serious expression. Oh no, these guys really awakened the Patriarch's will that fell in the battlefield of the 9 races. Feng Shui said unwillingly, "Senior brother, why don't we charge out and fight them?" Shangguan Chen shook his head. "We won't be a match for them. Just the strength of the 4 of them alone is not weaker than us, not to mention now that they have the help of the Patriarch's will." Feng Shui was anxious. "Isn't it just a wisp of will? Senior brother, what are you afraid of?" "I'm not afraid. If it were Big Brother Lin Chen, he would have killed them long ago." Shangguan Chen rolled his eyes, which was rare. This junior sister was really led astray by Lin Chen. She's going to do it just like that? Shangguan Chen knocked her head and scolded sternly, "Don't mess around. No matter how thin the Patriarch's will is, it's enough to suppress countless saint hearts. If you don't have the combat strength of the heaven-opening realm, you're courting death." He then looked at Uxiner. "Miss Xiner, this is an internal matter of our sect. You and this brother Shadow should retreat first. We'll think of a way." Uxiner shook her head. "What can you do? I'm not someone who abandons my companions. Since we're working together, we have to fight to the last moment." Little Shadow, who had transformed into a black dragon, vomited blood again. In order to protect the 3's whereabouts, he was hit several times by the previous attacks and was seriously injured. So it's there." Xue Haiyang's eyes turned as he grinned. "Die, traitors. You're the ones who are going to die." Boom. A grayish-white talisman fell from the sky and exploded in the void where the 4 of them were. Lin Chen's figure flashed and arrived in an instant. The sacred dragon's possession had not been removed yet. He activated all the dragon meridians and punched toward the Divine Flame Palace's Patriarch's will. Chapter 1448. The slowing rune exploded, and the 4 of them slowed down. Only the Divine Flame Ancestor's will, which was in Xue Haiyang's body, reacted and slapped back. Chi. Bang. When the 2 collided, a mushroom cloud exploded out of thin air. Within a radius of 100,000 miles, a fierce wind whistled like a knife. The other 3 were sent flying. Lin Chen's speed was too fast, so they didn't even have time to react. Lin Chen was shaken to the point of retreating, and he even suffered a slight injury. If not for Lin Chen's slowing rune weakening part of his strength, Lin Chen's injuries would have increased from this collision. The battle strength of this ancestor's will was close to the heaven-opening realm. It surpassed many peak Sacred Heart Realm cultivators. However, when Lin Chen activated the Dragon Vein, he activated the Yin-Yang Creation Dragon's bloodline ability. With the Yin-Yang Creation Dragon body, Lin Chen's Sacred Dragon's injuries recovered extremely quickly. The improvement brought by the Divine Dragon bloodline also had an effect on Lin Chen's other dragon bloodlines. The people of Divine Flame Palace had other intentions when they entered the 9-clan battlefield. According to the coordinates passed down by the previous generation's senior brother, they found the will of a Divine Flame Palace's ancestor in the 9-clan battlefield and used a special cultivation method of Divine Flame Palace to awaken it. And if the remnant will wanted to move, it had to attach itself to a saint's body and gradually nibble away at their vitality. Although the price was great, the results were also very obvious. With the ancestors' will's deterrence and battle strength, it was almost unstoppable in the human battlefield. It was even enough to make them dare to take risks in the dragon race battlefield. The people of Divine Flame Palace are really like ghosts that won't go away. Do they want to court death so much? Under Lin Chen's calm face, there was a rage that was close to madness. Little Shadow and he had a telepathic connection, and he knew very well that Little Shadow was seriously injured at this moment. His phantom doppelganger had already rushed over with healing pills and sage herbs, and his main body had come alone to stop the other party. It's all my fault. If I didn't bring Ping An in, this little guy wouldn't have been seriously injured. Lin Chen's heart was heavy. Before entering the ancient Taishi dragon's tomb, he couldn't be sure that his sacred dragon possession could deceive the ancient dragon's will. That was why he brought Lin Pingon into his Providence plant pouch. Lin Chen thought that even if something unexpected happened, with Lin Pingon and the four-piece war god set as his final trump card, he would still have a chance to resist. He originally thought that with Little Shadow in the outside world, he would be able to conceal the aura of the three of them and be absolutely safe. However, he did not expect that Shui Haiyang and the others from the Divine Flame Palace had long been on guard against Shangguanchun. With the will of the ancestor who cultivated the same mental cultivation method, they had locked onto their position as soon as they entered the battlefield of the Dragon Clan. Nothing happened inside the dragon's tomb, but something happened outside. Lin Chen? Your aura is that of a dragon? While Shui Haiyang was startled, the possessed Divine Flame ancestor coldly said, Junior, this is the person you said was obstructing my Divine Flame Palace's grand plan, right? Shui Haiyang nodded heavily. Yes, ancestor, it's this guy. If we don't get rid of this brat, my Divine Flame Palace will definitely brew a calamity. Buzz. That Divine Flame ancestors will looked straight at Lin Chen. His gaze was like a sharp blade whistling in a spiritual storm, extremely sharp. He laughed hoarsely. I heard that you are a prodigy who can expand your acupoints by 30,000 times. Maybe it's a good choice to possess your body. I can even have a holy dragon with me. Not bad, not bad. Lin Chen was unperturbed. He channeled his talent and the holy dragon's bloodline special ability and sneered. Maybe it'll be a good harvest for me if I can beat you up, old fart. You have a sharp tongue. Die. You don't have any respect for your elders. Crawl. The dragon tail appeared. Lin Chen used instant light split shadows, a perfect grade bloodline special ability, and the azure dragon sword slashed out violently. The ancestors will punched out, shaking heaven and earth as it shattered the azure dragon light. Chi. Bang. An earth-shattering explosion swept out in all directions, alarming many experts in the Dragon Clan's battlefield. Both sides retreated several miles and stood still. The ancestors couldn't help but be stunned. 5 perfect-grade peak dragon special abilities? You really are a freak. Let's beat you half to death first before possessing your body. Rumble. The ancestors controlled Shui Haiyang's holy body, and the massive amount of holy force in his holy acupoint was sucked dry into his will, causing the 9-fold fire seal to circulate in his palm. Lin Chen's expression instantly became solemn. He was very familiar with this move. It was the 9-fold burning sky palm. However, if it was used by the Divine Flame Palace's ancestor, that kind of power might not be able to prevail even if a true heaven-opening realm expert came. Looks like I have to go all out. To deal with this Divine Flame ancestor, it would be impossible to not take out the Holy Dragon's trump card. Let me. Lin Ping An's voice transmitted to Lin Chen. He said solemnly, No, you have to preserve your strength well. Rumble. Waves of heat surged, and blazing flames covered the sky, condensing into a shocking giant palm the size of thousands of acres and slamming down. Buzz. The ancient heaven-raising bloodline was activated, and endless azure light gathered into a claw, supporting the heavens and earth. Lin Chen's claw slashed towards the sky. 1 split into 5. Transcendent bloodline ability, Heavenly Claw. After refining the divine dragon's bloodline, Lin Chen's holy dragon bloodline had expanded tenfold. When he erupted with this claw again, it could shock the heavens and earth and cause ghosts and gods to weep. 5 azure dragon claws that supported the heavens and earth howled and slammed into the ninefold burning sky palm. The earth's veins instantly cracked, and the earth's crust within tens of thousands of miles was overturned, collapsing and collapsing. Apart from the 3 dragon mountains that stood still, almost the entire continent was shattered into paste and burned into a sea of fire. What? The divine flame ancestor's will was slightly surprised. This was not something an ordinary holy dragon could do. Let alone a high-grade 8th order holy dragon, even a peak 8th order holy dragon might not be able to withstand this palm. A 9-fold bloodline dragon? No, it's not that simple. Could it be that the reason this kid appeared in the Dragon Clan's battlefield? The divine flame ancestor was old and shrewd. When he thought of Lin Chen's motive and a certain possibility of going to the Dragon Clan's battlefield, his expression was especially crazy and greedy. Divine Flame Soul-Stealing Technique. The Divine Flame ancestors will formed a seal with both hands. At this moment, with Xue Haiyang as the leader, the 4 monstrous geniuses from the Divine Flame Palace began to burn intensely. Ah! O Ancestor, what is this? No, don't, Ancestor. We are here to save you on the orders of the other patriarchs. The 4 geniuses burst into heart-wrenching screams as they were burned beyond recognition. The divine flame ancestor laughed sinisterly. Don't worry, young Master Wu Pianju will know that you have contributed to the divine flame palace. He opened his mouth and swallowed the burning life essence of the 4 geniuses into his mouth. Clang! A sharp white saber shadow flashed. It was Lin Chen's rhino flying dagger. It was connected to its master's heart and instantly tried to stop the divine flame ancestor from absorbing this power. Clang! The rhino flying dagger was bounced away. It was too late. The divine flame ancestors will become more and more complete. From the previous appearance of only the upper body, it turned into a complete body and attached itself to the half-dead Xue Haiyang. Sure enough, the things that the Divine Flame Palace's branch palace made are a bit strange. Lin Chen narrowed his eyes. The Divine Flame Ancestor's will was more than twice as strong as before. Can I only use the Aries set or the new Bloodline special ability? Chapter 1449. This guy is really ruthless. He took 3.5 lives from the Divine Flame Palace. Is he determined to kill me? Lin Chen took a step forward, and the Yin-Yang dragon aura gathered in his palm. This old monster had most likely guessed that he had the Divine Dragon bloodline. After all, in the eyes of the Divine Flame Palace's many patriarchs, a rank 9 dragon bloodline might be considered an outstanding junior with potential, but it was definitely not worthy of their level of madness. Only the Divine Dragon bloodline. This was the potential of the Divine Dragon bloodline. The Divine Flame Palace's patriarchs will laugh maniacally. Junior Lin Chen, I want both your body and the Divine Dragon. Rumble. He once again unleashed the 9-layer burning sky palm, and with a palm strike, the light of fire lit up the entire sky, as if a blazing sun had descended. This time, the power was fierce and unparalleled. It could crush the stars and burn billions of stars. Taishi. Just as Lin Chen was about to try out his new killer move, the 9-layer burning heavens palm in midair instantly exploded, turning into an endless meteor shower that rained down. The fire burned for 100,000 miles. At the center of the meteor shower caused by the 9-layer burning heavens palm, a petite and dainty blonde figure was floating in the air. She was wearing a pale golden cheongsam, beautiful and elegant, but the overbearing smile on her lips made her look charming and cold. The Divine Flame Patriarch's will was stunned. He looked at the little girl as if he had fallen into an ice cellar. He seemed to have thought of something and was shocked. You are the ancient Taishi dragon, Qi. Rip! Her soft and slender hand made a pulling motion in the air, and the space was torn apart with a ripping sound. Lin Chen sucked in a breath of cold air. The space crystal wall of the battlefield of the 9 races was many times more stable than the outside world, but it was torn apart like thin paper. Crack, crack, crack. The divine flame patriarchs will cracked and disappeared. His expression was filled with disbelief. Could it be that he inherited the ancient Taishi dragon bloodline? The last wisp of the divine flame patriarchs will disappeared. Shui Haiyang turned into a pool of blood as the divine flame patriarch disappeared. The blonde turned around and smiled. Are you all right? Lin Chen frowned and said, but, Senior, you. Lin Chen found that her figure was becoming more and more transparent. According to what she said before, she should not be able to leave the plane she created. Although this old man isn't much, he's still a remnant of the same generation as me. Even if he's just a wisp of his soul, I don't want the little guy that I've spent so much effort to cultivate to die here. The golden-haired beauty arrived on a golden light. Before Lin Chen could react, her fragrant lips lightly touched Lin Chen's forehead like a dragonfly skimming the surface of the water, and she charmingly smiled. Little fellow of the human race, you've managed to keep your life. Lin Chen's heart skipped a beat, and he unconsciously took a few steps back. Exposed? His identity as a human was exposed? Say, Senior, have you seen through it? Lin Chen was drenched in cold sweat. Logically speaking, after sparring with the ancient dragon's will, he did not think that he and Lin Ping would be able to resist her. However, if she wanted to kill him, he, Lin Chen, could not just stand there and let her kill him. The dragon tribe had a strong sense of rejection toward other tribes. The more powerful and bloodline a dragon tribe member was, the stronger their sense of honor and status would be. Hence, the dragon tribe would almost never allow their bloodline or secrets to be passed on to other tribes. In particular, humans who had the bloodline of the dragon tribe were viewed as thieves by the dragon tribe. They were extremely detested. The golden-haired beauty smiled mockingly. I've already seen through it. If it weren't for the fact that you dared to challenge that guy, you would have already been killed by me in the dragon tomb. Lin Chen was sweating profusely. He had thought that his disguise was impeccable. From a certain perspective, Lin Chen's holy dragon possession was indeed impeccable. However, after passing the ancient dragon's trial, he used the 4-piece god of war set to unleash an unprecedented punch against that mysterious person, thereby exposing his human aura. After taking a deep breath, Lin Chen bowed deeply toward her. Thank you for your magnanimity, Senior. She knew that he was a human, but she had passed on the bloodline of the divine dragon to him. This was a huge favor. The golden-haired beauty waved her hand and smiled like a flower. You're an exception. If you don't die in the future, remember to come back and visit me. She stared straight at Lin Chen. When she looked down, she licked her slender fingertips with her delicate tongue. She giggled seductively. It's so delicious. I don't want to only drink it once. Lin Chen blushed under her stare. Why was this senior ancient dragon so skilled? She was really good at flirting with people. At this moment, the sound of wind whistling could be heard. Your Excellency Lin Chen. Shangguan Chen shouted anxiously as he dragged Little Shadow, who was on the verge of death, and rushed over. Lin Chen narrowed his eyes and immediately flew over. He pressed his palm against the dragon-shaped Little Shadow. How could it be so serious? Lin Chen frowned. Little Shadow had been with him for a long time, and it had never suffered such internal injuries. Its dragon veins were broken, its bloodline was damaged, and even its heart, which belonged to the Dark Shadow clan, showed signs of rupture. This was not something that could be healed with 1 or 2 divine elixir pills. Unless Lin Chen had an 8th-grade divine elixir pill, he would die if he delayed any longer. Feng Shui said with tears in her eyes. In order to wait for you, brother Lin Chen, It had been protecting the 3 mountains and fighting with the 4 people from the Xinyan Palace. It was injured several times by the will of the Xinyan Palace's patriarch. Little guy, if you want to cure it, there's only one possibility. At this moment, the golden-haired beauty walked in the air with a rare solemn expression. It had to be said that it was the first time she, who had the will of the ancient dragon, had seen such a strange creature. The flesh and blood of the Dragon Clan, a hybrid of the Dark Shadow and the Demon Clan. Lin Chen said in a deep voice, "Senior, please tell me. Let's go to the Dark Shadow race's battlefield. As far as I know, countless innate Dark Shadows have died there. Perhaps there are still some remnant wills of old antiques wandering there. Only the Dark Shadow race can save them." Although it had the bloodline of the 3 clans mixed, Little Shadow's structure was still that of an innate Dark Shadow. Dark Shadow Clan's battlefield? Shangguan Chun was shocked. This was the most difficult space to find in the battlefield of the 9 clans. The Dark Shadow Clan had all fallen in the war, and their bodies and blood were perfectly hidden in this space. "I can send you there, but you have to be extra careful. Those guys are not to be trifled with." "Thank you, Senior." Lin Chen nodded seriously. No matter what, he could not abandon Little Shadow. "I'll only send you there. It's too much of a burden for the others." The golden-haired beauty glanced at the 3 of them indifferently. Lin Chen nodded at the 3 of them and said, "You 3, go back to the battlefield of the human clan first." The 3 of them could only nod. Before they left, they still reminded Lin Chen to be careful. "Senior." Lin Chen looked at the golden-haired beauty and said seriously, "I, Lin Chen, will never forget Senior's kindness. If there's a chance in the future, I'll definitely save Senior from this abyss." The golden-haired beauty flicked Lin Chen's forehead and smiled beautifully. "You're young, but you talk big. Take care of yourself first." She waved her sleeve, and Lin Chen and Little Shadow were sucked into a spatial whirlpool and disappeared. At this time, inside the endless altar of the Demon Clan's battlefield, the 10 primordial giant demons looked at the dying first-rank Holy Demon King. One of the giant demons cursed. "Motherf ********, only one of them came back after dying." Chapter 1450. The dimensional vortex disappeared, and Lin Chen arrived at a dark and lightless dimension. It was dark all around. Even when Lin Chen channeled his saint power, the light he emitted was extremely weak and limited. It was as if there was something blocking the path of light in this dimension. It was like an eternal silence that would never usher in light. Lin Chen released his spiritual perception slightly, but it was as if it had sunk into a boundless quagmire. There was no response at all. Lin Chen did not act rashly. The Dark Shadow tribe was once the most feared tribe among the many races. Their strength might not be the strongest, but their innate talent for space was above all other living beings. Legend had it that only a small number of space-type divine dragons could contend with them. Almost all other races revered the Dark Shadow tribe. "What a strange dimension! Little guy, can you still hold on?" Lin Chen looked at Little Ning, only to find that Little Ning was staring blankly in a certain direction. "I think I've been here before." When Little Shadow sent a telepathic message to Lin Chen, it raised its paw and pointed in another direction. "That way. I think I've been here before." Lin Chen was surprised. Little Shadow had been here before? Didn't that mean it was in its egg form? Could it be that Toshing had been here before? "This place is surrounded by dark energy. Can't move around," Little Shadow said with blood dripping from its mouth. "These are all dead Dark Shadow corpses. Their corpses will change the dimension into the most chaotic state." Lin Chen felt a chill run down his spine. Following that, Lin Chen followed the directions given by Little Shadow and sped through the boundless darkness of the void. The coldness of the void caused Lin Chen to feel a bone-chilling coldness penetrating through his body. After traveling for less than 15 minutes, Lin Chen's spiritual perception suddenly exploded, and his hair stood on end. There seemed to be a pair of eyes in the dark dimension staring at him. Whoosh! Lin Chun immediately equipped the 4 pieces of the god of war, and he was ready for battle. Buzz, buzz, buzz. A strange spatial fluctuation was emitted, and the small shadow behind Lin Chun also emitted a unique spatial fluctuation. Lin Chun didn't act rashly. He had heard that this was the Dark Shadow race's unique method of communication. No other race could spy on their conversation. It told me to go over by myself. Big brother, let me down. Little Shadow said weakly. No. You're already in such a state. If I were to hand you over, wouldn't I be giving your life to someone else? Lin Chun resolutely refused. I'll help you find another way. It's all right. I can feel that the seniors here don't have any ill intentions. Also, I have a feeling that I should be here. It seems that some secret happened in the clan back then, and the seniors who died here still need me to bring the news back to the Dark Shadow clan. Little Shadow's injuries had worsened, and even his voice had become extremely weak. Lin Chun clenched his fists. After a dozen breaths of silence, he couldn't help but take a deep breath. Your shadow is still inside my fate plant pouch. If anything happens to you, Ping An and I will flip over their graves. Big brother, also, Lin Chun looked straight into Little Shadow's eyes. You should have your own name. Little Shadow was stunned. After being hatched by Lin Chun as an egg, Little Shadow gained intelligence, and followed Lin Chun to explore the sacred boundary. Lin Chun was like a father and a brother, and the so-called master was just a title Lin Chun used in the past. Lin Chun didn't really enslave Little Shadow. Lin Chun never gave Little Shadow a name because it had never chosen one. Whether it came to this world or was taken away by Lin Chun, Little Shadow had never chosen a name of its own. But this was the first time it made a choice on its own. It meant that from now on it was truly an independent entity. Amen. Big brother Lin Chun, I will. Little Shadow's dragon body was bleeding, but its eyes were shining brighter. Lin Chun let go of Little Shadow, and handed the fate plant pouch that contained a large number of saint pills and golden saint origin coins to Little Shadow. The ultimate Shadow's weakness still existed. If Little Shadow's energy was exhausted and he didn't have saint-grade pills to replenish it, his combat strength would be greatly reduced. Lin Chun watched as Little Shadow floated into the boundless darkness. It was like a flash of light that sneaked into the darkness until it disappeared. At this time, a cryptic voice echoed in the void. Thank you, young human. Lin Chun didn't reply. He just stared in the direction Little Shadow left. He slowly returned to the place where he was teleported and left the battlefield of the Dark Shadow tribe. The boundless darkness of the void returned to eternal silence. The little guy's shadow is still here. It should be fine for now. After Lin Chun left the battlefield of the Dark Shadow tribe, a spatial vortex disappeared, and he arrived outside a pitch-black palace. There were many huge palaces around him, and they looked solemn and dignified. However, what caught Lin Chun's attention even more was that a beam of golden light shot up into the sky from the dark void, emitting an immortal aura that shot up into the sky. That's the attribute light of the Aries set. Lin Chun's mouth was slightly agape. The attributes of the Aries set were glowing brighter than ever before. But then, Lin Chun immediately realized what was going on. Lin Chun rubbed his chin. This wasn't right. Lin Chun took 1/10 of a breath to realize what was going on. He sucked in a breath of cold air. Oh my God, did I come to the battlefield of the demon race? The battlefield of the demon race, the headquarters of the demon race. Only the demon race could stay in the battlefield of the 9 clans. If it weren't for the fact that the planes repelled each other and limited the number of demons that could be transported, the battlefield of the 9 clans would have been occupied by the demon race long ago. But even so, this was the headquarters of the demon race. No one could imagine how many Saint Demon Kings were gathered here. Lin Chun's arrival here was like a sheep entering a pack of wolves. One had to know that even the old ancestor of the Divine Flame Palace, who had the battle prowess of the heaven-opening realm, didn't dare to approach this place. What's going on? There's a human in the venerable area? Ha 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 ha. A human actually dares to barge in, courting death. This king has not tasted the flesh of a saint for 100 eras. Kakik! The sky was filled with violent howls and roars. Lin Chen's whereabouts were instantly exposed. Without Little Shadow by his side, Lin Chen's disguise wasn't very good. There were many types of Saint Demon Kings. Some of them were good at sensing, and they sensed Lin Chen's location almost instantly. Rumble! Rumble! The space shook, and an overwhelming amount of demon chi swept through the 9 heavens and 10 earths like a storm, gathering toward Lin Chen. They're coming for me. Looks like I have to break through with all my strength. With 3 flying daggers in hand, Lin Chen was on high alert. He released his spiritual power and sensed that there were close to 10,000 mid-level Saint Demon Kings nearby. If they attacked together, even a Saint Heart would be drowned in an instant. However, I can't just leave like this. There are still parts of the Ares set in the battlefield of the demon race. Lin Chen's lips curled up. It looked like he was going to play big. Chapter 1451. Slow Rune. Lotus Dance. Clang. When the slow rune was cast, saber light flashed wildly. What followed was an overwhelming number of flying lotus flowers, each of which contained an extreme saber light. The sharp saber light cut through the demonic aura tide that had stopped in the void. The 8 spiritual burning dragons roared at the sky, and billions of starlight turned into sword light, cutting through the 9 heavens. Bang! 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 A large number of Holy Demon King's attacks were destroyed by Lin Chen's 6 doppelgangers, forcing back a large number of Holy Demon Kings that tried to approach Lin Chen. Some of the Holy Demon Kings that were affected by the attacks were instantly pulverized. Lin Chen activated his movement technique and broke through the encirclement like a streak of black light. His 6 doppelgangers were like stars surrounding the moon, attacking endlessly at lightning speed, protecting Lin Chen as he broke through the encirclement. Roar! There's something strange about this human. Even a human with a sage heart shouldn't be able to block so many of our attacks. This human is very strange. Hurry up and inform the higher-ups. His attacks can freeze space. Our attacks have been weakened by him. The various Saint Demon Kings saw through the clues with a single glance. The battle was ever-changing. Even if it was a mid-level Saint Demon King, as long as they were not instantly killed, they could regroup and react, fighting a completely different battle formation. Holy Demon Kings aren't ants. Fighting head-on like this will exhaust my trump card. I can't let them know my route. Otherwise, they'll concentrate their forces and set a trap for me. Lin Chen narrowed his eyes. Just his spiritual perception alone told him that close to 18,000 Holy Demon Kings and 100 high-level Holy Demon Kings had already gathered within a radius of 10 million miles. This number was truly terrifying. It was equivalent to 18,000 transformative saints and 100 life and death saints. There's something strange about the halls those fellows are protecting. At this moment, Lin Chen suddenly realized that the aura released by the halls around him was extremely strong, even surpassing the heaven-opening stage of the human race. Many Holy Demon Kings stood nearby and didn't dare to approach. Could it be? Many thoughts flashed through Lin Chen's mind. He cast another 10 delaying runes and consumed another 10,000 points of top-notch rune energy. Abruptly, he charged toward the nearest demonic palace. Oh no, he's coming for us. Damn it, this human looks so young, but how is he so strong? The high-level Holy Demon Kings protecting the halls were flustered and exasperated, and the void instantly exploded. The phantom doppelganger drew the bow and shot out. The sound of the bowstring could shatter the stars and shatter the stars. The arrow shot out was shrouded in sharp purple clouds. It divided into 5 and crossed the horizon, shooting through the galaxy. The arrow shot out like a meteor and landed with a loud boom. Many high-level holy demon kings who were in a slowed state were shot into a bloody mist. The rest were all heavily injured. Chi. The god's tier rune energy slashed and exploded. Bang. Countless saber energy shards rained down from the sky in a radius of tens of thousands of kilometers. They minced the heavily injured holy demon kings into pieces and pierced through their bodies, killing them on the spot. At this time, the surrounding holy demon kings gathered again. The 6 doppelgangers formed a hexagonal formation and continued to protect him. Together with the slow rune, they blocked the attacks of many holy demon kings. Lin Chen, what about me, what about me? Lin Ping and shouted excitedly in the Providence plant pouch. He smiled casually and said, "It's not your turn yet." Under the cover of his doppelganger, Lin Chen rushed into the devil hall that was filled with terrifying pressure. Boom. The demonic aura was dense, and its aura could suppress all eternity. It was permeated with the holy power of the human race. It was as if a part of the history of the holy demon race had been buried here. Even Sacred Heart cultivators would be greatly affected if they got close. However, the one who charged in this time was Lin Chen. Even the divine aura couldn't suppress him. Although this terrifying aura was strong, it didn't affect him much. Lin Chen charged straight into the hall. A 40-foot-long, 20-foot-wide bronze coffin was sealed here. All the demonic aura came from that bronze coffin. Lin Ping was like a tiger, and he didn't seem to be afraid at all. He actually charged forward and pushed open the bronze coffin. Inside the demonic coffin lay a tall and handsome figure. It had the appearance and facial features of a human. It was 4 to 5 times taller than a normal person. Its hair was light and its face was as white as jade. There were 2 pairs of flesh-like demonic wings on its back. Its baleful aura was monstrous, and there was a majestic aura between its brows. It was as if one would kneel down and tremble if they looked at it directly. A holy demon's corpse. Lin Chen was filled with excitement. Damn, this holy demon's background wasn't small. Although Lin Chen hadn't seen it with his own eyes, he remembered the classification of the holy demon race clearly. Above the demon monarch was the holy demon king, and a top-level holy demon king was comparable to a Sacred Heart or heaven-opening realm cultivator. Above the top-level holy demon king was the holy demon lord, the leader of the kings and the holy demon lord. Every holy demon lord was an existence that reigned supreme in the holy demon race. Their strength was comparable to a human first transformation to 9th transformation sage. And the top-level heavenly demon lord was comparable to a human sage king. Every heavenly demon lord was a direct subordinate of the holy demon lord. During the Great War of the 9 races, countless holy demons had died. Only a few holy demon lords' bodies were preserved. No wonder these holy demons didn't dare to act rashly. So it's the body of a holy demon lord. Ordinary top-level holy demon kings can't get close to the holy demon lord's aura. Without a doubt, this holy demon lord is already dead. Did these holy demons want to revive by placing the holy demon lord's corpse here? Or are they trying to squeeze out the last bit of value from this corpse? Wait a minute. Suddenly, a bold and crazy idea appeared in Lin Chen's mind. He grinned. His smile was very pure, like a child's. Boom. Bang. The holy demon lord collapsed. Lin Chen punched through the holy demon lord. Holy demon lord, I have to thank you first, ha ha. Lin Chen skillfully put on his self-made sunglasses, and the corners of his mouth rose crazily. Then let's have the most exciting drift in the history of the 9 races. 15 minutes later, in the Holy Demon Battlefield, Northwest Holy Demon Palace. When the armored 3-eyed Holy Demon King received the voice transmission, he couldn't help but be slightly stunned. A human has barged into the Eastern Tomb? How is that possible? That's the Holy Demon Lord's Holy Demon King area. Even the high-level Holy Demon Kings can't easily get close to the Holy Demon Lord's burial area. Chi. Bang. There was an earth-shattering explosion. The Holy Demon Palace shook, and the holy demons outside screamed in agony. "My lord, that human is attacking us!" The three-eyed Demon King crushed the jade slip and sneered, "I want to see what kind of heaven-defying abilities this human has. He's just one person. What can he do?" Rip. The three-eyed Holy Demon King charged out of the Holy Demon Palace aggressively. Just as it was about to fight, the Holy Demon Lord's aura suddenly came crashing down. Within a 50,000-kilometer radius, the encirclement formed by 10,000 Holy Demon Kings was broken through by a ray of light. When the three-eyed Holy Demon King saw this scene, its jaws almost dropped to the ground. On the horizon, the silver-robed young man stood on the ancient Demon Lord's coffin. He wore sunglasses and held the flag. Using the ancient Demon Lord's coffin's aura, he broke through the encirclement and rushed over. He stepped on the coffin and made use of the inertia generated by the explosion of the Holy Demon King's corpse. His movements were clean and neat. He spun 360 degrees in the air and glided in a 666 trajectory in the air. He looked elegant and at ease with a hint of flirtatiousness. When the three-eyed Holy Demon King saw this scene, its scalp went numb. When it saw the flag on Lin Chen's shoulder, it almost became a retard. The flag on Lin Chen's shoulder was engraved with the words, "One of the 10 most handsome dudes in Guangshui City." Special guest performance, Hurstdrift. Die Hurstdrift. Chapter 1452. On the 9 races battlefield, I'm the craziest. Lin Chen stepped on the Demon Venerable's coffin. His body was like a dragon, and the coffin was like a gust of wind. He was like an arrow that left the bow, crushing everything in his path. The Holy Demon Kings that surrounded him were all injured by the Demon Venerable's aura. They were all crushed into powder within 100,000 feet. Lin Chen tiptoed, and the demon coffin flipped in the air. He even did an inverted coffin drift. The Holy Demon Kings were so angry that they almost vomited blood on the spot. How humiliating! What a *King humiliation! This was a humiliating moment in the history of the demons. If news of this got back to the demons, the Holy Demon Kings guarding the demon battlefield would no longer have any prestige. They would even be seen as outliers. The Demon Venerable that they worshipped was being used as a stepping stone by a human brat just like that? This was too *King intolerable. "Even if I die today, I'll drag him down with me." Roar. "Humans! Humans! *CKUY. If I don't kill him today, I'll kill myself." The Holy Demon Kings roared as if they had gone mad. They formed a new team and charged forward. Lin Chen's lips curled up slightly. It was exactly as he had guessed. The Demon Venerable's corpse had been in the Demon Venerable's coffin for a long time. Its demonic aura was overwhelming, and its might was boundless. Especially when it was at the level of a life-and-death battle before it died. The evil aura left behind made it even more difficult for all living beings to get close. Otherwise, someone as strong as Lin Chen would have to use all his trump cards to break through the encirclement of so many fearless Holy Demon Kings. Most importantly, Lin Chen would have to face the encirclement of the entire demon battlefield. At that time, he would be exhausted to death. But it was different now. He could use the Demon Venerable's aura to charge straight to the source of the elemental light. Hey, what kind of joke is this? He's heading in the direction of our great sacrificial altar. Damn it, he's heading toward the altar. Everyone, move out. Even if we die, we must stop this lunatic. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Sonic booms rang out as the 4 peak-level Holy Demon Kings simultaneously blocked Lin Chen's path. Ordinary peak-level Holy Demon Kings could barely withstand the Demon Supremacy's aura if they tried their best to resist it. However, if they got too close, they would be injured by the demon supremacy's aura. Myriad demons heaven covering hand. Azure Devil Devour. The 4 peak-level Holy Demon Kings used their killer moves right from the start. They wanted to break through the Demon Lord's might and destroy Lin Chen. Under everyone's gaze, Lin Chen didn't use his move. Instead, he leaped into the air and kicked the ancient demon Venerable's coffin away. Rumble! No matter how many killer moves the top-level Holy Demon Kings unleashed, Lin Chen could break through them with a single coffin. The demon Venerable's coffin was like a beam of light, crushing all of their attacks. While the 2 top-level Holy Demon Kings were knocked back and bleeding profusely, the other 2 barely managed to stabilize the demonic coffin. They couldn't help but be overjoyed. Quick, kill this brat! Lord Demon Venerable's coffin is back. However, just as they finished speaking, the next moment, Lin Mu waved his hand, and another demon Venerable's coffin appeared out of nowhere. This time, its aura was even stronger than the previous one. All the Holy Demon Kings felt their scalps tingle. F***CK. You still have more? But something's not right. The Holy Demon Kings exchanged glances. They knew very well that the human race's spatial storage couldn't store the demon Venerable's body. That terrifying aura was enough to shatter the spatial crystal walls into nothingness. Ha ha ha, I'm going to take a detour first. Let's go. If you don't like it, come at me. Lin Chen looked up at the sky and laughed wildly. Ignoring their shock, he sped up and charged toward the extreme south of the battlefield. Indeed, the Providence plant pouch and normal spatial artifacts couldn't contain the ancient demon Venerable's aura. However, Lin Chen wasn't using them to store the ancient demon Venerable's coffin. He was using his orange-grade talent, Chrono-Transcendence. In Chrono-Transcendence, only he, Lin Chen, was absolute. Whatever T aura was useless. Not to mention a demon Venerable's coffin, even a heavenly demon Venerable's coffin would be fine. Human Jr., don't even think about getting past me. A demonic aura descended, covering the sky. It was the 3-eyed demon king. Go to the side. Lin Chen leaped into the air and kicked the demon sovereign's coffin, sending it flying like a meteor. The 3-eyed demon king was so shocked that it hastily activated its defense after only 2 seconds. Boom, boom, boom. At this moment, another dozen or so holy demon kings arrived. Again? No matter, I'll shoot as many as you have today. I'll kick all of you until you submit. Lin Chen's domineering aura was awe-inspiring. He clawed at the void with his palm, and dozens of light cocoons appeared out of thin air. The Devil Sovereign's might that swept through the 9 heavens and 10 earths was like a boundless mountain that pressed down on the hearts of all the devils, causing them to fiercely suck in a breath of cold air once again. 18 ancient demon venerable coffins. Seeing this, some of the holy demon kings suddenly recalled that this kid had gone to all the ancient demon venerable burial halls. Could it be? Go. Ares Greaves. Lin Chen activated his movement technique and moved as fast as he could. At the same time, he activated the Ares Greave. His pure strength skyrocketed as he kicked. Bang, 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 bang. His godly power, which could crush the stars, sun, and moon, exploded. It transformed into beams of golden light that shot out, instantly kicking all 18 ancient demon venerable coffins away. He was extremely fast. Rumble. Bang. 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 All 18 holy demon kings were knocked back by the ancient coffins. Roar. The 3-eyed demon king's eyes widened. However, before it could chase after them, its pupils suddenly trembled. A huge wound had appeared on the ancient demon venerable's chest. Blood flowed out non-stop. This wound couldn't be healed by any means. Intermediate orange-grade talent. Annihilation and Creation. Lin Chen had activated his orange-grade talent, Annihilation and Creation, in advance. He had cut all the ancient demon venerables in the coffins so that their bodies could never be healed. Although he didn't know what the demons were plotting, it was definitely not a good thing for the ancient demon venerable's body to be left behind. Lin Chen just had to destroy it. At this moment, Lin Chen stepped on the ground, and another ancient demon venerable coffin flew into the air. Marshal Lin, who was wearing sunglasses, looked extremely cool. He turned into a flash of lightning and whistled as he flew across the sky. I am Guang Shui City's Black Horse Team's #1 shooter, Golden Right Foot. I will only kick the ancient demon venerable coffins. Ancient demon venerable coffins. Good kick. Good kick. Good kick. Good kick. Please look carefully. Ancient demon venerable tablet. 1 coffin is better than 6. Hearst drift. I will only choose the ancient demon venerable coffins. Single machine hall Remania pill. I will give you a gift. Ancient demon venerable coffins. Ancient demon venerable coffins are the symbol of a successful man. You deserve to have them. Lin Chen stepped on the coffins like a gust of wind. He charged out of the encirclement formed by the holy demon kings with unstoppable momentum and headed straight for the demon's sacrificial altar. If a top-tier holy demon king approached along the way, Lin Chen would go up and kick the ancient demon venerable coffins away. He was invincible in the vast and terrifying waves of demons. On this day, the demons' battlefield in the battlefield of the 9 races was completely turned upside down. Since ancient times, no race had ever dared to barge into the demons' territory. Not to mention, the intruders this time were humans, whom the demons despised the most. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.